Miami City Council regular meeting here for February 2nd, 2015 to order. Let us all rise for the flag salute, followed by the inspiration by Mayor Pro Tem Doug Freeze.
To the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, please be seated. I wanted to share with you this evening an experience I had yesterday. I ran into a friend of mine who's from Syria. He's a Christian. And he lives here in the United States, but his family is still in Syria. And he was telling me that his family had to abandon their house and move to an area of Syria that's controlled by the Kurds, because the Kurds are protecting themselves from the Islamic fundamentalism killing. He told me that his sister told him that her friend was on the freeway on a bus. The bus was pulled over by ISIS, and they came on board and demanded IDs from everybody. And her name was Catherine. And they got her ID and said, "Oh, your name's Catherine? Off the bus." And they took her off the bus and shot her. So that caused me to do a little bit of research. And what I found out is the number of Christians that are murdered in Syria doubled last year as compared to the previous year. So there's a terrible tragedy happening. And I wanted to bring that to your attention and let you know that I personally am praying for Christians all around the world that are suffering these plagues. Thank you.
Okay, can we have the roll call, please? Councilmember Figg.
Here.
Councilmember Hensley.
What?
Councilmember Hensley.
Oh, thank you. I got my hearing aid turned on. Here.
Councilmember Sharkey.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Breeze.
Here.
Mayor Schnapp. Here. We have the agenda before us.
Madam Mayor, I would amend the agenda by moving item 7B, 7 Bravo up ahead of 7A, so the order will be 7B followed by 7A.
And is there any discussion, or second? Motion?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? No discussion, motion carries, so we have the agenda item moved. Then we have presentations, and the first one is to recognize Brian Nielsen. And so I hope Mr. Nielsen is in the audience. There he is. Okay. So if you can join me up here at the podium, right in front. Tonight I have the distinct pleasure of recognizing Mr. Nielsen, Brian Nielsen. Is that what you said? Nielsen? Okay. So Mr. Nielsen came to our attention because just recently Ventura County firefighters had an award ceremony, and they select members from throughout Ventura County to recognize, and Mr. Nielsen was from Port Hueneme, so we thought it would be best to have him recognized in front of City Council and the city, the community here. And this is a certificate of recognition in recognition of your heroic actions during the rescue of a man and baby girl from a burning car on Ventura Road, November 1st, 2014. We're grateful for your service to our community. And Mr. Nielsen came upon a car that had crashed very early in the morning. And the news release goes as though somebody ended up then first there at the crash scene, but when he approached, he heard that there was a baby crying in the car. And his heroic efforts then saved the baby, and then it was the father as well that was saved from the car. He risked his life in order to do this because minutes after he had removed the baby from the seat, or from the car, in the car seat, the whole truck caught on fire, the whole vehicle caught on fire. So, Mr. Nielsen, please accept this. Please accept this in recognition of what you did. Okay, and then we also have a proclamation for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program Earned Income Tax Credit, and this is to the State Board of Equalization 3rd District Representative. Do we have that representative here? So this is a proclamation in support of the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program and Earned Income Tax Credit. And it says, whereas insufficient income contributes to many of the social and human service needs in our state, and whereas the federal Earned Income Tax Credit provides tax release and income support to low-income working families, and whereas the EITC lifts millions of individuals out of poverty every year in the United States by supporting work and self-sufficiency while reducing the need for public assistance. And whereas each year the EITC helps approximately 3.1 million individuals in California and brings more than $6.96 billion into California's economy. And whereas every year 800,000 families who qualify for EITC fail to apply for the credit, representing a loss of $1.2 billion. And so it goes on to say that it is now therefore the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme encourages the City Manager to identify and utilize existing and potential public-private partnerships to inform citizens about the availability of the federal Earned Income Tax Credit and Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Programs. And it further proclaims then that the City of Port Hueneme joins the State Board of Equalization, Franchise Tax Board, Internal Revenue Service, and Jerome E. Horton, Chairman to the California State Board of Equalization, in advocating the Earned Income Tax Credit and Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program to qualified families and individuals. All right, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and honorable council members. I just wanted to echo what the proclamation actually states. Earned Income Tax Credit is a federal credit that you obtain when you file your income tax returns. It is the most successful anti-poverty program that this country has ever implemented, and it's a tax credit, which is even more important. We've done some research that 20 to 25% of the people who actually qualify for this credit are not claiming it, whether it be something they're overlooking, maybe something that they don't know they qualify for. So it is our job to inform the residents of the state of California, the residents of Port Hueneme, that this credit does exist. Want to bring up to your attention that the Honorable Jerome E. Horton, who is the chairman of the Board of Equalization, in partnership with local elected officials, will be hosting a free income tax preparation event here in Oxnard College, which is open to any individual or families who've earned less than $53,000. We will prepare your federal and state returns absolutely free. There is no gimmicks, there's no catches, there's no loophole. This is 100% free. So I put some flyers out in the back for those who are interested. It looks a little bit like this, and I encourage you to attend. You will be greeted by certified IRS preparers who are professional and will ensure that you get every single credit that you are allowed to take. So I encourage you, that event will be again, as I mentioned, in Oxnard College, March 14th, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And we specifically did that because we want to ensure that the agricultural workers who work during the day will be able to attend these events. So I encourage those again. If you earn less than $53,000, we will prepare your returns for free, and we will do our best to maximize your refund, and hopefully you can get some more money in your pockets. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we move on to item number 6, consent agenda. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Any discussion? Any objection? Without objection, motion carries. Item number 6 is passed. Moving on then to item number 7, and this is request from local hoteliers to initiate the process to join the Ventura County Lodging Association's Ventura Oxnard Camarillo Tourism Business Improvement District. Okay, what?
Mayor and council members, at your January 12th meeting, you received the request to bring this item back by the Ventura County Lodging Association. Just by way of a quick history and introduction, VCLA, as it's referred to, was formed in, I guess, 2012, or actually yes, I was thinking it's the TBED, but 2012. It is combined hotel properties of about 60 in Ventura County, and its mission is to attract overnight consumers and business visitors to the area. VCLA also currently oversees the Ventura Oxnard Camarillo Tourism Business Improvement District, which I might refer to in a few moments as a TBID. And that is a special assessment district that provides funds that are then used for marketing and sales promotion efforts for the assessed lodging businesses. Now tonight you're being asked to lend your support or give your support, or not, for VCLA to initiate the process of having Port Hueneme hoteliers included in VCLA's Tourism Business Improvement District as part of an extension that they're looking for. In this case, the TBID would cover Ventura, Oxnard, Camarillo, and Port Hueneme hotels and motels. The assessment to each lodging establishment in Port Hueneme that's within the district would be an additional 2% assessment on top of the 10% transient occupancy tax that's already being collected from hotels. The charge typically is passed on to patrons of the lodging establishment who stay less than 30 days. City of Port Hueneme's role would be to collect the assessment and remit it to VCLA. And for our services, the city will get to collect an admin fee equal to 1% of the amount that's assessed. In addition, under the TBID, some of the funds that are collected will be earmarked for Port Hueneme events that serve to increase overnight stays. In the case of this particular TBID, which again includes a number of cities, the City of Ventura is the lead agency, and that means that the City of Ventura will have to approve a resolution of intention to include Port Hueneme before it can move forward. Your concurrence or an indication of support tonight would give the go-ahead for VCLA to initiate that process with the City of Ventura. VCLA anticipates that the City of Ventura would issue their resolution of intention sometime in March, and then they will be asking Port Hueneme to adopt a resolution granting consent, and that's going to be the city's official action that takes place at that time. The council grants consent, then the public hearing for inclusion in the TBID is anticipated to be held by the City of Ventura sometime in May of this year. I believe here with us tonight are Rebecca Evans from VCLA and Tracy Sisson from the Chamber. Looks like we have Marissa from the Holiday Inn Express also here if you have any questions. Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Questions? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Bruce.
Perhaps, Tracy, you want to come up? I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about this. So this would be approving this district would provide for some funding to help market the businesses in Port Hueneme. Is that the purpose behind this?
The funding that it will be collected will be to help promote the hoteliers of overnight stays. So what it affords the city of Port Hueneme is the ability to, the carrot at the end of the rainbow is the opportunity to join in with the larger Ventura County West branding that is already currently being run by VCLA, which currently pulls in $1.5 million, and that's marketing the region. So we would be then officially covered with that. 20% of the funds that are covered on an annual basis would then be earmarked specifically for promotion of the Port Hueneme area.
Okay, so VCLA is marketing the region, and is there marketing nationwide, worldwide, do you know?
I'm going to ask Rebecca to answer that question for me.
Hello, Rebecca. Thank you.
Thank you. We actually do a lot of marketing, and it can be worldwide. It depends on what the event or advertising does. Obviously, we do a lot of online advertising, but we do print, radio, television, lots of online social media, anything and everything you can possibly think of. We just did our first page ad for China, so we are international. So there's just lots and lots of things that we are working around to make sure that we're bringing in and supporting any of those tourism dollars that come in.
Okay. Okay, thank you, ladies. Thank you very much.
Hold on. I have some questions. Yes, Councilmember Shorkey.
Yeah, we just need to be clear, this is a voluntary membership, or are we dunning people on their tax bill?
So the assessment is passed on to the traveler. 3 of the 4 hoteliers in the area have already signed the petition ahead of time, being the Holiday Inn Express, the largest hotelier in the city, Casa VMR underneath their new ownership, and also America's Best Value Inn.
And this is an assessment, so no money comes out of your coffers whatsoever. It actually is from that person that stays in that hotel.
I just want to make sure that that's going to be paying this is on board with it.
That would be every tourist that comes into
Right,
Portland.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I recall, I think you probably know Brian Brennan, who worked in the hospitality industry before he entered into public service. He worked in the Caribbean, and his comment always about Ventura County was, he said, this is just like the Caribbean. We want to get them on the island. And then we'll find out where they go from there.
We
have
want to share
get
the
them on the
secrets,
island.
that's right, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? All right, so I have a couple questions. So when you market to different groups, are they individuals or businesses, or what's the attraction there? Or conferences? Is that what you?
All the above. It was really exciting. We actually have Smurf is what they use, and that is. I'm not a hotelier, so I never. But under the sales, Marissa.
Social, military, educational, religious, and fraternal.
There you go.
Those market segments.
And so when we market to each one individually, I mean, we actually do face-to-face opportunities at trade shows. We buy the advertising, so radio, TV, and print ads. We send the hoteliers to different educational things that they reach out to. So there's lots and lots of levels. And then we also have sports tourism. Sports tourism we consider a leisure activity because they come in as families, they stay for days and days on end. So we get to put them into the communities where they're at and get to spend lots of money and have a lot of good time. There's, like you said, religious. There's the military. We work with the military very, very closely, to make sure that they're being taken care of when they come into the hotels. So there's just a lot of lists.
So then, would all the materials then include Port Hueneme as one of the cities?
So far, anything that's printed now, obviously, once it's redone, that will be done. We just added our brand new, comes out anytime now, our new meeting guide, and we added a full page for the locations that have the meeting space in Port Hueneme. So that's already started without even being done, but because we support your efforts on whatever you do.
Okay. So then I noticed too that there's a city administration fee of 1% of whatever's collected. So say for instance, if $30,000 is collected, then 1% of that the city would pay. That's my understanding. Or the city would
retain.
The city would
The city would retain.
Yes,
Right.
Okay.
it's a revenue
Okay.
to cover our costs.
I see.
Right.
Okay. All right. And then something in here said that it would be through to 2014, so it's a 10-year?
2024.
2024.
Correct, it's a 10-year renewal on the assessment district.
That's why we wanted to offer this to you, because it would be very difficult to bring it back at another stage. And right now, with this renewal, we're open to bring you in on it as a very easy renewal process.
Okay, all right, thank you, ladies. So we have item 7B for consideration. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the recommended action.
And this is to initiate the process to join. Okay, all right. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so a motion is seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? All right, so why don't we just, for those who are in support, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. No opposed? All right, so motion carries. Thank you, ladies. And so now we move to item 7A. This is to consider responses to city's request for proposals, the RFP, for recreational venues and provide staff direction to commence lease license negotiations. And so we have Ms. Nichols and Mr. Brown.
Yes, thank you. Council, is this on? Oh, hearing. Let me adjust this. You have a rather lengthy staff report in your packet, about 10 pages with a variety of exhibits. So we prepared a relatively short PowerPoint to hopefully summarize that information for you. I will be tag teaming with the Deputy City Manager, Carmen Nichols, so be patient as we have the baton off back and forth during the presentation.
So you guys are going to need to get close to your microphone so that everybody can hear you. Thank you.
Michelle, let's see if we've got, there we go, first line. So you'll recall about this time last year, the council was provided an assessment of the city's finances, the operations, the practices, and the programs that included an assessment of the city-owned facilities that indicated that many recreational facilities were significantly underutilized and many more were in disrepair or poorly maintained. It was noted during the strategic planning process that for a community of 22,000 people, the city offers very few programs, direct programs to its residents. It was also noted that programming is offered by other agencies. Our residents are able to participate in other cities' programming and offerings county-wide. It was also noted that after-school programming is provided by a variety of providers, including the Boys and Girls Club, obviously at the Athletic Center, the Navy base, and the Navy School District. You have a little table at the bottom that shows the programming. We have the Wi-Fi bowling at the Community Center, the senior exercise, Sharon's exercise group that's wildly popular. Really nothing for adults and young adults. And then at the youth level, we have, again, a very popular hip-hop dance class with the ballet and tap, and then you also have the junior lifeguards that are in the summer season. So here you have a table that shows that the city's 3 main recreational facilities that have buildings on them. And these are the subject of our consideration this evening. You have the Athletic Center, the Miranda Park, and the Community Center. We outlined briefly the business arrangements, the primary programming at those facilities, and then the maintenance needs and utilization. At the Athletic Center, the first column, obviously that's leased to the Boys and Girls Club for $1 a year. In exchange, the Boys and Girls Club provides their after-school drop-in program 5 days a week. It services the time of termination approximately 140 children in a variety of programs based on their national model. It's a low-cost activity, $20 per year membership per child. They also have scholarships available, and they do have fees for services for holidays and summer programs. Maintenance needs, maintenance and repairs had not been addressed, presumably due to lack of funding. There were unsafe and unclean conditions that were identified. We believe the building's not fully utilized in the mornings and on the weekends. To the middle column, you have Miranda Park. We provide both direct city services and rental activities at that facility. The primary programming now is the summer youth tennis program. I think that's running year-round now. But that's operated by a volunteer citizen. You have the softball field rental contracts with the girls softball league, and then you just have open free play at the tennis courts, the basketball courts, the playgrounds, and whatnot. The maintenance, we have significant deferred maintenance. The lighting doesn't work, the fencing is in disrepair, the sports courts, and you'll see some photos of this later, are in disrepair, and the fields, the softball fields are in disrepair. There are unclean conditions in the restroom that's part of the facility. And the office, the multi-purpose room that's near the tennis court is currently unutilized. And then the last column, you have the community center. Again, we provide direct services and rental activities out of that facility. The primary programming is it acts as administrative offices for the recreational division. We have our senior nutrition and meal packaging programs that operate out of that facility, the senior classes and youth classes that I've listed, and then rentals for training, activities, parties, and special events, primarily on the weekends. And there's some after-hours activities. There's allowance. Now, Carmen may need to help me on some of these photographs, but I believe the photo on the left is the porcelain flooring that was put in with pool tables once were, if you're familiar with Boys and Girls Club, where you had problems with dropped equipment and where you would chip and crack and tiles were popping off the floor. The picture to the right, although it's not a great picture, shows the exposed sheetrock and just general, it's not a great picture, but disrepair of the walls that existed throughout the facility. On the left is the gym floor. On the right is the drop ceilings where we witnessed obviously several panels missing and lighting that was either missing or exposed. Carmen, you may want to help me out here.
So this picture basically shows the cramped kitchen facility, or maybe not utilized to its fullest extent. It is a very small kitchen facility. This was one day that we've gone around and toured a couple of the Boys and Girls Club. This is what we found at our athletic center.
The picture on the left shows the multi-purpose room and offices near the tennis court that are currently vacant. The picture on the right, although again not a good picture, is one of the softball fields at Miranda Park. Yeah, at Miranda Park, where you have decomposed granite that is fallen in disrepair. The fields are just a tripping hazard. They haven't been graded or serviced in many, many years, at least over 10 years, and the infields are in disrepair.
A good thing about that, the Miranda Park picture, the softball field, is that we have installed a new water conservation efficient irrigation system. So we have done that. We did receive a grant to pay for partial cost. But also just want to bring attention to the track. That's something that we would want to look at into the future. As Greg mentioned, this poses a trip hazard now. It used to be widely utilized for people that walk the track. It's not as utilized. Perhaps that might be a reason that would be something that we would want to consider later.
And then, yeah, obviously, the last photo, these are the basketball courts and the sports courts at Miranda Park. That's, again, not a great picture. We've done as much crack sealing and patching and repairing as we could. These are in disrepair, and they're actually liability hazards with a lot of tripping situations.
And Greg, if you go back one slide again, just want to bring attention to the meeting room office picture at Miranda Park. One of the things that we talked about in the strategic planning meeting was to bring people back to the parks. Have people come back, the right people that are utilizing our softball fields and our basketball courts and our baseball fields. We want to draw people back in it. I know there had been discussions whether parks are safe or not safe. We were, Chief Gager talked about the broken window theory. Well, this is why we want to bring people back. This is why we want to have utilized resources, because we want to make sure that people know, our residents know, our community knows that we're using our facilities.
Okay, so back to programming. Following last year's strategic planning session and the assessment of the recreational facilities, Given the lack of programming, council concluded that it would like to explore partnerships opportunities, between the city and local or regional recreational service providers to hopefully expand services and expand programming for all age groups. The general goal was to try to leverage the city's underutilized, and we've got fantastic recreational facilities, but they're underutilized, to try to get those leverage to attract someone to operate these venues and to offer recreational activities. The council wanted to provide quality recreational programming for all age groups. They wanted to offer services at a reasonable cost. They wanted to provide special considerations for lower-income families and households at the primary venue at the athletic center, and they wanted to reduce the city's recurring operational maintenance and capital costs, hopefully, and then ideally generate potential future revenue if that was possible. Again, on March 17th, the council directed staff to begin preparation of an RFP. So while the city was performing the recreational assessment, the Boys and Girls Club did not elect to extend their lease, and it expired, I think, in mid-year 2013. We attribute that to the former executive director. It was an oversight that they didn't extend the lease, but at that time that caused the city inspection of the property, which revealed major repairs and maintenance items that were needed throughout the facility. Boys and Girls Club was placed on a month-to-month lease, while the city and staff evaluated the extent of the needed repairs and attempted to find and identify funding that potentially could help cover the cost of making those repairs. The good news is the city was able to reprogram approximately $520,000 in CDBG and general fund reserves, monies to address most of the significant deferred maintenance. There's still some items that need addressing in the athletic center. Work began in April, and council subsequently confirmed that it wanted the athletic center included in the RFP. So again, the RFP objective was to evaluate the opportunities to partner with outside agencies or other groups to enhance community recreational programming in a cost-effective manner. The goal was to leverage the city's underutilized venues as a means of offering recreational services at a low or reasonable cost that would be accessible to the broadest demographic, while also reducing or minimizing the city's recurring costs and seeking revenue generation if possible. The final RFP was approved by the council and authorized for release last May. We had 3 responses for YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, and Pacific Camps. The responses were evaluated by a committee composed of city staff, 2 of the city's fine arts and recreation commissioners, and then 1 Port Hueneme resident with over 40 years of municipal recreational experience, primarily in the Santa Monica, Culver City, and west side of LA. The interviews were conducted with each respondent, follow-up interviews in August to clarify the proposals and answer questions, those activities. Following the RFP interviews, the committee's top choice for programming, and that's a typo, at the Athletic Center in Miranda Park was the YMCA. In short, the YMCA proposed programming that most fully utilized both of those facilities and covered all age groups, youth, young adults, seniors. YMCA's proposal offers programming at an affordable price with financial assistance to those who cannot afford memberships, much like the Boys and Girls Club. They do not turn away anyone based on their inability to pay. Last year, YMCA provided over $1.25 million in scholarships to its members in this local area, which is fairly significant. Also then YMCA, we felt, had the best opportunity, the community felt, for reducing the city's maintenance costs and generating potential future revenue for the use of those facilities. After selecting the YMCA, the RFP committee acknowledged that the Boys and Girls Club provides a unique programming for our youth, and it would be advantageous if the city could provide an alternative site for the Boys and Girls Club. So essentially, the committee looked 3 blocks away at the city's community center for an alternative site. And with that, I'll turn it over to Carmen, the Deputy City Manager. We've got a brief YouTube video that we'd like to show you. I'm not sure, Michelle.
What our research showed is that we are not alone. Others are seeking help in similar ways by outsourcing recreational program activities, and we found one that's similar to what we're bringing forward to you today.
Gave away a rec center and an Olympic-sized pool for free. free. Turns out that bold move will save taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. Covering the South Bank, 10 News reporter Joe Little reveals why National City gave away the facilities and how residents now won't lose out.
Swimming laps or shooting hoops. National City residents will be able to do more of both, even though their city has less.
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, we've historically had this here, and we still haven't been meeting its potential.
National City just saved its taxpayers $400,000 a year by handing over this rec center
It's in the Camacho Gym.
and an Olympic-sized swimming pool
There aren't very many in San Diego.
to the South Bay YMCA for free. Mayor Ron Morrison says it was a simple decision.
Because we weren't able to do a good enough job.
They really couldn't operate any of the facilities to their full capacity and asked us if we could do a better job.
Since taking over, the Y has added more hours, more classes, and fixed up both facilities.
A lot more programs, we see a lot more children here.
Children and reporters.
Oh, what's your favorite sport? Do you like the pool or do you like the basketball court? You like the basketball court?
It's no longer free, but National City families only pay $35 a month compared to the regular rate of $65, and they get more time to actually work out.
We have lap lanes available all the time.
It's a unique partnership the city says won't extend past its rec department.
We're not talking about outsourcing. We are not talking about getting rid of services.
The South Bay Y says it's an agreement it'd be willing to make with other cities, including Chula Vista, whose rec center hours have been reduced during hard budget times as well.
We'd be more than happy to explore any of those options with the city of Chula Vista.
Options National City is happy it took to keep its centers open, covering the South Bay.
So this offers a glimpse of that cities are looking for other options to provide recreational activities for the residents at large. So who is the local Channel Islands YMCA? They were formed in 1887 and currently has 6 health and fitness facilities, a youth and family service branch, and more than 20 child care locations here in Lompoc, San Ynez, Santa Barbara, Montecito, Ventura, and Camarillo. Serves more than 46,000 individuals with an operating budget exceeding $16 million. The terms of the RFP require 51% of members to be low-income households. For Port Hueneme, it proposes family memberships at the Athletic Center of $59 per month and ensures no one is turned away for an inability to pay. And as Greg mentioned earlier, they do have scholarships available. Provides traditional strength, cardio resistance training programs, aerobic, full-time health wellness programs, childcare, and specialty classes. So when we were, as part of the RFP committee, as we were evaluating the programming that they provide, we saw the strength of this is that it provides it for a wide variety, for all ages. Has year-round sports, camps, teen after-school programs, nutritional workshops, access to other YMCAs, and additional services to eligible military families and personnel, and serves members of all ages 7 days a week for approximately 10 hours per day. It felt that providing the extended hours, 10 hours per day, it would utilize the athletic center and Miranda Park in much greater capacity. The other thing that I wanted to bring to the council's attention, that Medicare provides a subsidy to pay for seniors. So if you are a senior and you're eligible for Medicare, they will pay for you to attend the YMCA. Also, some health insurance companies and some employers offer incentive and benefits when you have a membership of such. The recommended provider for the community center then, as we were looking at this, and as Greg mentioned, the RFP review committee wanted us to look at other options. What other options would there be for the Boys and Girls Club? Because we believe the Boys and Girls Club provides an essential service to the community. And so we wanted to look at what other options, and we looked at some other available spaces here in Port Hueneme. The BGC provides an essential service to our community by providing a variety of after-school programs and safe haven for kids ages 6 to 18. They also provide summer camps. Memberships are as low as $20 per year at any income level. They do not turn away for inability to pay. They also do have scholarships available. We felt that the community center offers better utilization of its surrounding resources. We have Bubbling Springs Park adjacent to the community center. We have the Ventura County Library And we also felt that the fields at the Bubbling Springs Park could provide sports court, open play, the library could provide a literacy program, and we could provide dedicated rooms at the community center. We felt that it was a positive that city staff would be available to help monitor the kids in the facility. We currently provide janitorial support there, so of course it would be some increased activity, so we would increase those janitorial services, but the city would continue to provide that for the Boys and Girls Club. We felt that the premise is more safe and secure. During our trip to the athletic center, we didn't feel that the facility was secure that day. It was actually 2 days that we've gone over there, but it didn't feel as secure. We felt that it could be better served at the community center. We also felt that the Boys and Girls Club maintenance costs would be reduced because the city would be providing those services, which then can be utilized for staffing and increasing programming. So who is the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Oxnard and Port Hueneme? They have provided quality youth programs since 1954. Oxnard and Port Hueneme clubs merged in 1997 to become the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Oxnard and Port Hueneme. And in 2004, Boys and Girls Club opened 9 school sites in Oxnard, and in 2006, it added 11 additional sites in the Ocean View, Hueneme, and Rio School District. Other local sites include the Samuelson Clubhouse on 7th Street, Martin B. Smith on 5th Street, and the Ventura County Juvenile Justice Facility. So when we were looking at other venues where we could put this essential program, and as I mentioned, we looked at the community center for its demographic here. So you have the community center, and right next door you have the Ventura County Library, which I have a pointer, but I don't. Does it work? No? Is it the red, Michelle? Here's the parking lot. Adjacent to that, and I'll show you in the next slide, would be what we would propose a sports court to go in. We know that the Boys and Girls Club youth really value the basketball court. They really like that. And so we felt like it could be an option to put one there, as well as the full use of the park, and then also the baseball fields up here. It's surrounded by the community, so it's an easy access to the community center and the library. Here's what we've proposed, and I know you can't clearly see this, but this is what I was talking about just a second ago, was talking about the sports court going there. We have an open, secure area here. We have the meeting rooms right in here, and the big recreational room there, and this children's library program. I'll talk a little bit more about how we can utilize that space. We proposed, in discussions that we had with the Boys and Girls Club staff, board members, we did do a field trip at the community center and made some proposals. We looked at some of the rooms there. We know that they have an arts and craft area and a teen center room. The teen center room is something that's really important to them. And we have 2 rooms, although that is all negotiable. We have 3 rooms right now at the community center. We talked about 2 rooms. One can be the designated teen room, the other that can be a multi-purpose room. The maximum capacity of each room is about 50, but once you put tables and chairs around it, that's probably less. The open area for free play would be the big, large auditorium. That has a partition and can be made into 2 rooms. These could be dedicated rooms. This would be a room that we would use during the day for senior services, so it's a dual service or dual purpose room. During the day for senior services, senior exercise classes, Greg mentioned, very, very popular. We want to keep that going. We don't want to take anything away from the community. But after school, this would become the room that the Boys and Girls Club could use. Maximum capacity as it is 283. Of course, there's a recommendation of what we could put in there that would reduce that capacity, but it'd still be pretty high. So how do you use those 2 rooms into a multi-purpose room? Some things that we looked at that the current Boys and Girls Club was using at the facility, well, there were pool tables. And I think there was a foosball table. Well, you can bring those foosball tables back, ping pong tables. There's a variety of equipment that can be temporarily placed in the auditorium, put back in storage. And we have storage closets right up on the side here. So an auditorium basically can go from looking like this to placing ping pong tables, foosball tables, and even badminton courts, and be able to do that inside. Another important area for the Boys and Girls Club was the computer lab. The computer lab that existed there had probably about 10 monitors, 10 to 12 monitors. The recommendation would be is you can make another room, a multi-purpose room. You can put in newer technology, iPads. This shows how you can store iPads, put them away, lock them up. They can be charging, and you can bring them out during computer lab hour or any time during their open hours. So you can set this up as a computer lab. I just wanted to mention something. Last week I was at a chamber event where Dr. Samakian spoke of the Oxnard Union High School District Linked Learning Model. And he talked about how they're using technology. This is what was said, where it connects academies to real-world application by integrating challenging academies with a technical curriculum. He talked about the use of technology devices for research and for books in the classroom. So there's these academies now at our high schools in the Oxnard Union High School District. I really feel that this type of enforced technology or enforcing what kids are learning, he talked about bringing down at an early age, having our kids piquing their interest at an early age so that when they get into high school, then they can start using what they've learned. They can use this technology. When you go off to college, you have to be prepared on how to research. And this program is doing that. So the Boys and Girls Club can be part of that program of reinforcing technology for kids today. The community center also has an open area. As I spoke earlier, we talked about the security of it. This would lock, so all this is enclosed, the patio area is enclosed, the entire building area is enclosed. So it allows for free play for the kids inside the community center area. We have tables out there, benches, they can go outside. Weather here in Port Hueneme, 90% of the year is awesome. Let's get the kids outside. This is pictures of the 2 kitchens at the community center. The small kitchen rests between 2 classrooms, and this can be utilized. The layout is differently, so looking at the cramped space at the athletic center, felt that this would be better when they're putting their snacks together. There's refrigerators there, freezer, and then there's a staff bathroom. This area here can be utilized as a staff bathroom. Also, we have the larger kitchen area. This is in that auditorium room. During the day, we use this to package and to hold and package the frozen dinners that we take for our seniors who qualify for the senior nutrition program. That's what it's used during the day. After that, it's not being utilized, but the Boys and Girls Club can utilize it for preparing their snacks. And then we talked a little bit about the grassy area adjacent to the parking lot. This is where we would recommend a sports court. So the basketball courts can come back. You can also bring a court that can utilize, you can put volleyball courts. So there's multi-purpose sport courts that can go outside, and that's how we would fully utilize the community center and its surrounding area. We also met with the Ventura County Library, and they were highly interested in partnerships that we can build with the Boys and Girls Club for use of the library. That's another facility that may be underutilized. We can work together between the city, the Boys and Girls Club, and the county library staff to bring programs, not only for the kids that would be there for the Boys and Girls Club, but also for the community. So we see this as a way of enriching the programming.
Thank you, Carmen. So with regard to the fiscal impact, staff would remind the council that the proposals represent the initial positions by all the respondents. The final positions in the exact lease and license terms, must be negotiated for the city council's future consideration, and this is a starting point. towards those negotiations. Again, so the precise fiscal impact, either positive or negative, will not be known until those terms and those details are negotiated. Based upon the initial RFP proposals and their budgets in the RFPs, we have listed some initial fiscal considerations that you have in your staff report. I guess the takeaway staff would give you is that, in short, we believe the recommendation can be a win-win for all. The Boys and Girls Club can save nearly 25% of its operational budget by partnering with the city at the community center. Those savings could be utilized to improve staffing ratios, which we understand is a challenge, help restructure their operations to better fit with this campus alternative that we're proposing, and also to fund additional supplies and programs for our youth in more of a park-like setting, not a prime arterial like Pleasant Valley Road. Now, at the same time, the YMCA is proposing to establish a new program, fantastic programming for the community, for all age groups, all demographics, at an affordable price point and cost that we think is affordable. And both at the athletic center and Miranda Park, which we think is important. So the staff recommendation, really briefly, is to authorize staff to begin lease license negotiations with the Channel Islands YMCA as the highest qualifying respondent to the RFP for the utilization and programming for the Fort Hueneme Athletic Center and the Miranda Park recreational facilities. Secondly, we're asking you to direct staff to work with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Oxnard and Fort Hueneme for the utilization and programming at the Orby S. Carpenter Community Center and the adjacent to abutting Bubbling Springs Park as an alternative site for the Fort Hueneme Club. With us this evening, we have Margot Byrne, who's the COO, and her staff from YMCA that's available to answer any questions council may have. We also have Karen Antrim and her staff, the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club, to answer any questions. And then, I believe, Carmen, you wanted to introduce?
Yeah, as part of the RFP committee and also the Fine Arts and Recreation Commission, I have members of both. And I'd like to invite them as part of the staff report to make comment tonight of their evaluation or at least their recommendation. I'll begin with Sondra Briggs, our chairperson for the Fine Arts and Commission. She was also on the RFP committee.
So, yes, you can step to the podium.
I did serve on the commission interviews with the YMCA and with the Boys and Girls Club. I was really impressed by the YMCA's proposal. I think they have a great track record of running programs. I also didn't really want to see the Boys and Girls Club leave because I think they provide so much after school for the children in Fort Hueneme who really need to have after school care. So I think the staff has chosen the best of both organizations to see if we can work with them to use our community facilities better than they're being used now and to serve more ages. The YMCA serves the young adult population that is simply not being served now. So I would like to urge that you accept the recommendation.
Thank you. And then we have another speaker.
Roberta Downing, she's on our Fine Arts and Recreation Commission.
Hi, I'm very impressed with the work that Greg Brown and Carmen have done on this project. He did a great job. And I've always been a fan of the YMCA, and they offer such a very active program for all ages. And I think that could be a big plus for Fort Hueneme. And I also think Boys and Girls Club placed at the community center is a genius idea, especially because of the library. You know, young people could use computers, participate in reading books and different book clubs, activities that they would have at the library. And all that open space, especially the enclosed one right now, it's just very safe, nobody could get in there. And they also have the big auditorium, and I am all for this program. And I think it includes everybody. It doesn't leave out the Boys and Girls Club. It just enhances the whole community. I hope you'll vote for it.
I'd also like to call Marietta King, who is on the Fine Arts and Recreation Commission and also served on the RFP committee.
Good evening, city council members and Rainey staff and elected officials. A lot of discussion has gone into this, and the Boys and Girls Club is an integral part of Port Hueneme. It serves all the after-school programs, and in our discussions for it to be maintained and retained within our city is a long tradition within Port Hueneme. Having the YMCA come in would certainly offer our community more programming for all of our citizens, the young adults especially, and with their record of their enhancement for programming, the discussions have just been tremendous to try to keep Boys and Girls Club within our community and also add to the programming with YMCA. And I commend our staff for all the hard work that they've done. Thank you.
I'd also like to call Rich Rollins, who served on the RFP committee and is now on the Fine Arts and Recreation Commission and is our kind of a resident expert.
No one's an expert. I just want to support both groups. The Boys and Girls Club, I've been intimately involved in that program. I did my internship in college with the Santa Monica Boys and Girls Club. I know what the various different cultural arts programs, the role models that they provide. I think it's very essential that you keep that type of a program someplace within the city of Port Hueneme. At the same time, my family has been very much involved in the YMCA programs. We've been involved in youth and government programs, the basketball leagues, the swim programs. My kids from the very young age, when they're 6 months, were involved in the child care programs. I know that they can provide a valuable asset to the community. The alternative that the staff has provides some very interesting alternatives. I know that the community center is underutilized right now. This would provide some robust programming and opportunities there. The library one of the essential programs in the Santa Monica Boys Clubs is the tutoring programs, and it's right next door, which is really kind of neat. One of the things that I think kids need to do more of is to get outside. And I think it's a very safe environment right outside. You have a lot of recreational fields. Even the parking is really good because it's not in a main thoroughfare. So I think that's very good. It's going to be a tough decision, but I think staff has come up with some interesting alternatives that I think would, and I think both programs could provide good recreational programs for our community.
Okay, so thank you, staff, for your report. Are there any questions from the group here? Yes, Councilmember Sharkey.
Yes, thank you very much. Back during the merger, 96, 97, there was a lot of discussion about the Grunstrom Trust, which was the endowment for the Boys and Girls Club of Port Hueneme. I know that was an issue during the merger, and I don't recall what happened, how that was resolved. What's the status of that now?
Staff would probably refer that question to Aaron with the Boys and Girls Club. We don't have a definitive answer. We would ask that you refer that question to the Boys and Girls Club.
Is there a person here from the Boys and Girls Club? Yes. Okay. Do you want to come up to the podium?
Good evening. Erin Antrim, CEO of Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Oxnard and Port Hueneme. The Grunstrom Trust still exists. It's a restricted net asset for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Oxnard and Port Hueneme to support arts programming at the Port Hueneme branch.
So So it's dedicated to Yorksburg. Do you know the residual value on that trust right now?
Not off the top of my head, I can get that to
All
you.
right, thanks, just curious.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions? Yes, Councilmember.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a lot of comments, but I think I ought to wait until we hear the citizens here to weigh in on the question. But for staff, why wasn't the YMCA given the same kind of choice that you have tried to explain relative to the Boys and Girls Club? That is the alternative of having YMCA occupy the community center, particularly if some of those programs can be brought over to the athletic center, and then you have a building could be dedicated to YMCA activities.
That was considered. YMCA in their proposal is proposing programming 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so that wouldn't allow for joint use with the city and its staff and the programs. We displace our programmings unless some alternative can be made at the athletic center. But that was thought of.
The second question I have is, your staff report is pretty critical of the history of the Boys and Girls Club occupancy of the athletic center relative to maintenance issues. So if that's the case, why would you want to entertain them to be an occupant at the community center?
You know, one of the primary reasons for that joint occupancy is that we have staff there that can do additional supervision of the type of activity and behavior that was going on at the athletic center that we had no oversight of. And so we were hoping that with that oversight, and there's other benefits with that, that would help if contained in the staff report or in the proposal by the deputy city manager. We acknowledge that you're going to get wear and tear on the facility, and we actually propose some funding for that. Any extraordinary wear and tear, for instance, broken windows or things of that nature, we would look for some kind of deposit. But that's again subject to the negotiation process.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Hanson.
Thank you, Mayor. I have to give the staff credit. This is a real good sales job. I look across the audience here and I see the people. I see some people that's probably been graduates or still members of the Boys and Girls Club. And I do have a little concern that, same as Councilman Fig, that this seems to be heavy weighted towards the YMCA. So let me ask you some questions here. It says that the community center is in disrepair, poorly maintained. I kind of have hurt feelings that this has been a jaundiced view of what the Boys and Girls Club is like. Quote, in mid-2013, the Boys and Girls Club failed, that's the heavy word, to renew its final 3-year lease term. Failed is a hard negative term. Is this really correct?
It's our understanding they failed to elect to extend the lease, and we saw that as an oversight. They had an extension, but they had to proactively elect to option that extension, which did not occur. Correct.
Okay, in that regards then, instead of failed, they neglected their option. But what was the option? I understand that they wanted a little bit more length of time in their lease so they could reach out and get some more funds. Is this just a spin? I'm kind of wondering if the Boys and Girls Club did ask for a longer lease agreement, and that would help them reach out for more funding. Did they ask for that agreement?
You know, I would have to refer that to Mr. Joseph Gailey, who was dealing with them early on. You know, John, if you have an answer for that.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Gailey. At the time that we did not receive the renewal of the lease, which they had one 3-year term left on it, they had not asked for a longer period of time. But after we had, I had referred the situation to the then city manager, Dick Delco, at which time he instituted a inspection of the property, and then basically this whole RFP process was brought to light, and the whole process started. The Boys and Girls Club did at that time request a a longer period of time to assist with their funding when those talks were going on, but not prior to.
Okay. So do you believe, real quick, that the word failed is a proper word for describing them asking for a longer lease?
I could say this, as Greg said, I would characterize it as an oversight, as the previous term was executed properly, and it was requested 90 days prior to the termination, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Don't go away, maybe we have some more here. I understand there was a $520,000 grant that was put towards renovating the Boys and Girls Club. That, and it mentions in the newspaper today, it was also part of the general funds. Now, what amount was the grant, and what amount was the general funds?
I believe the general fund contribution was $30,000. The balance was community development block grants.
So in reality then, the grant was the primary.
Correct. We were able to reprogram CDBG monies that could be utilized anywhere in the community, but the council chose to use it for this facility. And there's still some work that needs to be accomplished.
Okay, very good. Also, I understand the grant was for primarily the outside maintenance of the building. Is that correct?
No. So generally, the maintenance was replacement of all the parking lot and drainage systems, the landscaping, irrigation, landscaping. Inside, we replaced all the doors and frames. We removed all the flooring and provided polished concrete. We had to replace the lighting, most of the lighting, and all the lighting in the gym. We replaced all the sound panels in the gymnasium. This is where the basketball courts occurred. There were some plumbing issues. There was a variety of electrical issues. We had some unsafe conditions. We had to redo the scoreboard. Gosh, I think, am I leaving anything out? Oh, wait, you had the complete exterior that had to be repainted. In doing that, it was discovered that we had a infestation of termites, and that led to replacing all the siding with hardy board plank siding, and that was accomplished. That was the majority of it. But it was extensive inside and outside.
Okay. Thank you very much in that regard. What I'm trying to pinpoint is that I believe, according to the lease, that the city is more or less responsible for the outside, the exterior, the parking lot, and I guess I have to fault the Boys and Girls Club for the termites, but.
Yes, the Boys and Girls Club was responsible for all maintenance with the exception of structural items. That's interior and exterior. Structural items being foundation, roof trusses, vertical walls, but the siding, the painting, parking lot, sidewalks, landscape, and then the interior painting, flooring, all of that non-structural was their responsibility.
Okay. Now you hit a particular point that I'm kind of interested in there. The interior structural load-bearing beams that we put into place. I initially received the impression that that was something that the Boys and Girls Club just snuck in and did this without any permission. But then I go back and understand from the Boys and Girls Club, and maybe they can answer this, or maybe Mayor Volante, I believe it was done back in about 2006, the mayor, the city knew of it at that time. The construction company, from what I understand, didn't obtain quite the proper permits, but nonetheless, it was not just something that was snuck in. Is that correct?
It is my understanding, and let me preface my statement with this, I came to the city in 2007. You're correct that the load-bearing issue that we're talking about, not the rest of the building, just that one particular wall where 3 windows were cut into a load-bearing block wall. It is my understanding, based on the file and the information contained therein, that the city was unaware that this modification was happening, and once they found out, they sent the city building inspector who shut down the job and put particular parameters on how to finish it.
Thank you on that. I think we're going to have to ask Aaron in regards to that, or perhaps Mayor Volante to confirm this. May I ask Aaron at this point?
Yes, so Aaron, can you come up here?
Good evening again. That was in fact the case. The thing is, we hired a licensed contractor to do the work. We told the city, the head of the facilities division of the city, and again, I have my director of operations here who's been with the club for 20 years, and I saw a detailed staff report from him dated in 2006 that we did in fact call the city and let them know that we were going to do this work. We wanted to ventilate the area between the teen center, or the boxing room as it was then, and the gym. And we hired a licensed contractor to do that work, and it was the responsibility of the contractor to obtain the permits from the city.
Thank you. Of the funds that were used, can we specify how much was used in the interior specifically, please?
We would have to go back. We can get that information from you, but the only exterior work was the landscaping, parking lot, the siding and painting.
Okay.
So all the remaining work, I
Could
couldn't guesstimate for you at this point.
Could we, that's all right. Could the council get this report for us then? Also, having been in construction before, $520,000 for the construction project, even under prevailing wages, seems a little high. In the interest of transparency, I request the city make available to each council member and to the public that contract. Last week I was shown a short line item of $50,000 a year for the Boys and Girls Club to move over to the senior center here. That's a significant increase. Now, we talk about the staff helping out, but I believe the staff has to be certified to deal with younger people, so they wouldn't be qualified unless they went through special training. Is that correct?
Our staff that currently uses the administrative offices would be, have been fingerprinted, and yeah, they'd be available. There's no reason why they couldn't provide the services.
But they
Now they're not going to
want help with the children?
They're not going to be doing programming. They would sit there and monitor the facility. They would sit there and help check in and check out the youth, but they would not be responsible for programming or overseeing the care of the children.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. I have another quick question here. The city recommends subsidizing the YMCA up to almost $9,000 per month for the next 2 years, possibly. That's a lot of money. That's $108,000 a year almost for subsidizing a facility which, has the Boys and Girls Club ever received that kind of subsidizing?
Well, two-part question. So with YMCA, they were proposing full programming from the get-go. As further explained in the report, that proposed 50-50 cost sharing could be reduced or eliminated depending on how they structure that. And I would ask that the council pose that question to Margaret, who's the CEO. On average, based on the improvements, we just counted up the expenditures over the last 37 years, it averages about $50,000 a year that the city expending on deferred maintenance or other items. Doesn't have present value of that funding, but that's the approximate subsidy. In addition to, for instance, the YMCA is proposing upon stabilization to pay the city usage fees or rent, and they actually pay at a couple of their facilities, I understand, about $2,000 a month. So there's a lost opportunity value by utilizing the athletic center for $1 a year, which is potential revenue.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll relinquish it to anybody else that wishes to comment or ask questions.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Hensley. Are there any further questions? I might add too that back when I was young, I attended the Oxnard Girls Club, and I was elected as Girl of the Year when I was younger. So many of you probably know what kind of recognition that is. I just wanted to throw that out. So thank you, Mr. Gately. At this point, let me refer to City Attorney, Mr. Hensley. He has a few things to say.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to note, because I know that the staff recently reported about potential conflicts of interest on this matter. There are no council members that live within an area close enough to even any of these sites that would constitute a conflict. that Greg Carpenter and Carmen Nichols do own property within 500 feet, which is a first test of potential conflict, but I spoke with the Fair Political Practices Commission last week about this type of project and what was being done, and discussed with them whether they believe there's a conflict or not under the circumstances, and they did not believe it would be. And additionally, because more than 10% of the total number of residential properties surround these various facilities, that makes the public generally exception to any conflict rules. So it did not appear there were any conflicts of interest with regard to this agenda item by any staff or any council members. They just wanted to make a public statement because there were some inquiries. I would note too, I was trying to find it on the agenda, but I have it, is that the construction would have been publicly bid out and was awarded by the city council sometime in 2014. I was trying to find the date. It's on the website somewhere, but so that was a publicly bid item.
Thank you. Thank you for the information you shared here. Now I have speaker cards. There's probably about 25, and so we will run through them. What I will announce is the speaker coming up and then the one in line. So if it's going to take you a little bit of time to get out of your seat, get out of the row, then you can be next in line, and hopefully it'll speed up the process here. Everyone has, all the speakers have 3 minutes. You'll see the clock ticking as soon as you get to the podium and start. You can introduce yourself and your address, and then you have 3 minutes. So I will start with Ventura County Supervisor Kathy Long, and next up will be former City Council Member Ellis Green.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, council members, city folks. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight, and as has already been said, we have a tough decision in front of you. All of you are familiar with what the Boys and Girls Club has meant to this community and means to all of us across the nation. I've been a board member of the Camarillo Club since 1996, and I know that Boys and Girls Club, they have resources that are very volatile at times, and they have many tough decisions to make about their operational models, about their maintenance issues, how they raise their monies, and how they go to the community to get their support. And thank you for meeting with me and with some of the club members to have a discussion. I appreciate all of the council members' interest in this. I know it's great, genuine, passionate interest in the decision that's before you. The process it started out, I think, a little convoluted, and it raised some angst, but what it also did was raise some good questions. Questions about, for the Boys and Girls Club, about their operational side of the house and the condition of the club. And I think for the community and for the council and leadership, how do we value our children? How do we take these 150, 140, 150 children who had a home for 40 years in the athletic club center, and is the best decision now to displace them from that home, offering a very viable opportunity in this other location? I won't speak to the operational side of the house on the other location proposed at the Orby Community Center, which is a marvelous center, because I don't do the operational side of the house. I'm sure you'll hear comments on that. But I think what we have here is a kind of trying to put a size 10 foot and a size 7 shoe. And I'll say it in that way, in that I think you've got a club site that has been used all these years, that they know how to make it operationally work. The children and the families are used to going to this club. They're very open to making changes to make sure it's as healthy as it can be, and safe, certainly. I've been to the club a few times. I've not felt that was an issue. No one would want to feel that way about their children going there. I think what you have now, unfortunately, is almost a year where these families and children have been displaced. They haven't had a home, and that's a challenge for them. And looking at what the staff has done an excellent job in looking at the alternative site, or a site for better use to fully utilize what is city-owned property, rightfully so. I actually see the Y fitting better in the Oregon Carpenter site. But again, I don't know all the operational side of the house and why the Y chose to bid on this site. I'll just say to you, I think it's important, kids are so very important to us, and these are low-income children for years, historically, that have been served by the club. That is their mission, their sole mission, to serve these kids. And at $1 of investment and $17 on the return, it's a good investment. We value our children. I support the Boys and Girls Club, and I know you've been listening to a lot of testimony and concerns tonight, so I thank you for taking on a tough decision.
Next is Alice Green, followed by Jose Mata.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Ellis Green. This is Joel Shamer. We live at 2500 Seafront Court, Port Hueneme. And this is what we should start with. This is about Port Hueneme. In terms of these two fine organizations that we're considering for furthering our community, they both are in my DNA. I grew up with the Y and the Boys and Girls Club. I worked for the Moore Park Boys and Girls Club as a volunteer. I started their first basketball program, and now it's one of the top basketball programs in the county. So I think that I know that they're fine organizations. During my time as a council member and as a citizen, I had some tremendous opportunities to go to Fifth Street Boys and Girls Club for some celebrations and activities. And they were really fine facilities. I was there for the grand opening of the teen center. I believe that was about $1 million investment. And so I want to commend, and as I did and I spoke that day, I commended the board of the Boys and Girls Club because they had a vision for the organization that they were in charge of. And so I think it's time now for the council to have a vision for its community. That's what this RFP is about. We're going to keep the Boys and Girls Club because Boys and Girls Clubs are our community's DNA. But we also have to look out for the other residents here. I want to exercise with my kid one day. I can't do that at the Boys and Girls Club, but I can do that with some of the fabulous programs at Y. He swam at the Y at 6 months old. So it's a lot of things that that organization can bring. I think staff has done a tremendous job of calling over the options for the community, trying to figure out what best fits in our city, and I urge this council to accept staff's recommendation because I think they're the best for the future of the residents of Port Hueneme. Thank you.
Thank you. So is Mr. Jose Mata here? Yes, okay. And he will be followed by Patty Corbat.
Good afternoon. I'm Jose Mota. I've been a member of the Boys and Girls Club for now a little over 6 years. I don't want to sound cliche, but the Boys and Girls Club has really helped me a lot and really saved me, even if that sounds a little bit cliche. They have helped me through high school. I was horrible in high school, or freshman year, and horrible in middle school. They helped me with homework, they helped me with tutoring, especially math. They need help a lot with math. I'm great at math actually now, not best, but decent grades. The Boys and Girls Club is really like a family to me. They keep me out of trouble. I have somewhere to go when I don't want to be influenced by other people outside, because I live in a bad neighborhood too. I think it's really home to not only the students of the Boys and Girls Club, but also the staff. I've gone really close with some of the staff, well, a lot of them actually, a lot of good friends, and I'm sure you also understand since you remember the Girls Club. You know how tight they could be. They also fight a lot, but in a good way. Everyone helps each other. The Boys and Girls Club has given me a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things, from just expanding like my knowledge with homework, college. I didn't want to go to college till one of the members there that works there, Cody, he encouraged me to go to college. Even little things like learning how to ride a horse. They taught me. They took us to a little camp horse riding. They gave me a job recently, so that's good. Just want to say that I think you guys should enclose the Boys and Girls Club. Even staff here, they're attached to it. It's just like a home for them, and it's a home for me too. So I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem has
Which Boys and Girls Club do you attend?
I attend the 7th Street, but I've been to the Fort Wayne one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Corbett, followed by Nico Inglis.
Hello, my name is Patty Corbett, and I'm here to ask the council members and other Fort Wayne residents to show you support for the Boys and Girls Club. As a previous business owner, I have worked with the Boys and Girls Club very closely, and I can see what they're very capable of doing. I work with their job ready program, and I also have nieces and nephews that attend the Boys and Girls Club, and I am asking for your support to keep the Boys and Girls Club going. There's a lot of things that they can do for them. Kids can go and be a part of a community events and a lot of things that can help our community. And I'm just like, once again, here asking you to support them. The Boys and Girls Club gives kids a safe place to be and do things and learn things, and they can also, if I have seen kids that, for whatever reason, their parents weren't there to support them, and I have seen kids that were able to get their high school diplomas, attend college, and make a life for themselves. So once again, I'm asking our community and council members to help and support the Boys and Girls Club. Thank you.
So next is Nico Inglis. Is Mr. Inglis here? Oh, okay. Followed by Jennifer Horntassel.
Hello. Well, let me start off by saying that I grew up in the Boys and Girls Club right here in Fort Wayne. I grew up right here in Wainimi, Southside Oxnard. So I went to this Boys and Girls Club right here since I was a little kid. But when I started getting older, I started doing bad things and messing with the wrong people. But where I'm at right now, I wouldn't be without that Boys and Girls Club right there. I started doing drugs and being on the streets and all that. And I met my caseworker there at that Boys and Girls Club. And because of that Boys and Girls Club, I got my GED, I got my driver's license. I've been doing good. I started going back to college. Now I'm actually enrolled in CT, and I wouldn't have actually been able to even do that without the Boys and Girls Club. I'm actually going to get my Class A driver's license on Wednesday, and they've helped me through the whole process. They've got me from 0 to 100. You know what I'm saying? I'm just, from Fort Wayne, right here, I actually attended there when I was a little kid, and they've done so much for me. I don't know, from what I understand, you guys are trying to move it. I really don't think that's a good idea. I mean, from what I've been seeing in the city.
Why? Why?
Because I grew up in Wainimi, and I know that location you're talking about, the library, right, by the park. I know that location, I know that path, I know a lot of people that go right there, and it's, from my opinion, being a resident here, it's not a really good place for kids to be around. In all honesty, I grew up here, I really know what it's like. They can sit here and explain to you all day what they think they know goes down over there, but I grew up here, and I know that it's safer the way it's at right now, with the school there, traffic going in and out. You put them in the back where there's a park, a bunch of kids, put together, They're behind a wall, there's not a lot of traffic back there. That's in my opinion. But from what Fort Wainimi's done for me, I don't think you should get rid of it at all. They've really changed my life radically. I'm about to start my career pretty soon. And it started all right there down the street. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that helped, but I was asked to come here and share what they've done for me, and that's what they've done for me.
name and your address. And then following Jennifer Corntassel, we have Cindy O'Brien.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Corntassel. I live in Oxnard, but my daughter is on an interdistrict transfer and currently attends Bard Elementary School. So for us, the location of the Boys and Girls Club is convenient because I have a job, or if I'm taking classes late, she can walk right across the street, right across the parking lot where they have crossing guards. That works out just perfectly. And I'm not opposed to having both the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club, but I don't know if you've driven down Pleasant Valley at anywhere between 7:20 and 8:15 in the morning. It is, and that's just packed, and that is just with school children. If you add a current place that opened during the same hours where people are trying to take classes at the same time while I'm trying to get my kid to school, in my opinion, it's just chaotic. Because the benefit of them being only open during certain hours, it caused less traffic in the morning because there wasn't two programs being open at the same time. It caused less problems later on because you see now, because this whole year I've been waiting for something to open up, for something to come back. You see the overflow of traffic compared to last year. It's hard, and it's even hard myself because I go to school in Ventura and I have to drive all the way back to go get my daughter, to drive her to 5th Street, to drive just back to Ventura. It is madness in my life. And I think it's also unfair that that building was just fixed up and you're gonna offer them a building that's just in the same state that it was before, that was being complained about. It's just not, in my opinion, it's not fair. And and then my other fears are, it says $59 a month, but is that per person? Is that per family? I'm on a budget where $59 a month, that takes away groceries from me. That takes away so much other stuff. It's just, that program is such a big help to me and my family. It's just, $20 a year is the best thing ever to get the best people ever that help my daughter. I've never had any problem. I've never feared of any safety from them. I've never feared anything from them. I've never feared of the parking lot, anything like that. They've got everything they need. My daughter can afford to go to sports programs that they offer there. I can't afford thousands of dollars for cheerleading or anything like that, but she loves basketball. It costs me $30 a year with uniforms. They offer best programs ever for really low income people. And I'm sure that the people over at the YMCA are great people and they offer great programs. My husband he used to go to YMCA, but it's just not what I can afford in my budget and for my driving back and forth. Thank you.
Cindy O'Brien, followed by Amber Holmes.
Well, my name is Cindy O'Brien. I live at 107 East Bay Boulevard in Port Hueneme. And I really love this city a lot. And the presentation for both sides was just great. I really learned a lot by listening to both sides. When my daughter was little, I was a single parent for a short period of time. And I can say that the Boys and Girls Club, just like she just said, with tears, saved me. I had child care costs that I could not have afforded, honestly. And I always had a soft spot. I didn't even know that was going to be on the agenda tonight. I was coming from for a different reason. And whether they have it where it is now or it's moved somewhere else, it should be a priority to every city. More than the YMCA, because it's affordable for parents that are really, really struggling. And that is so important. And my other concern, and I don't know, it's probably been thought of, but my other concern would be sharing kids with the senior center. What happens during summer or times when kids need to be there for more hours in the day? So I don't know if that's been addressed or not. And that's really all I have to say.
Thank you. Let's see, we have followed by Blanca Vega.
Good evening, my name is Amber Holmes, and I would like to start off by saying that I have been a club member at the Boys and Girls Club for 6 years, going on 7. And in saying that, as you can see, there are parents that are emotional, but if you think about it, what will the children be? They will be even more emotional, and as you can see, I'm holding my emotions in because it's just such a fire topic that the Boys and Girls Club, without it, I wouldn't even be standing before you guys tonight talking because I would be shy and timid, not able to come up before you guys. But now I'm here standing strong before you guys talking, and there has been just so many opportunities given to me through the Boys and Girls Club. I've been able to talk in front of a group of over 1,000 people, teens and adults. And I've been to travel across the country and just experience so many things through the Boys and Girls Club. Without that program and all the mentors, it would be taking away from kids and teens their confidence, because that's what it's given me. The Boys and Girls Club has given me confidence. It's given me the desire to go on and pursue my dreams more than what my mom could just give me. And in saying that, also, it's just me and my mom. So the Boys and Girls Club, it's very convenient because without it, I wouldn't be able to do all the great things that I have been able to do today. Also, in saying that, I would like to say that I'm the president of the Keystone Leadership Program. So it not has only been a convenience for me, but it's also given me that leadership to go out into the community and be more involved. And that's just saying that, like, there's a lot of kids and teens that the Boys and Girls Club benefits and impacts and positively impacts their lives in such a great way that I don't think it's fair to deprive the kids, because they've been deprived of it for this long, but to take it away for forever, I don't want that in my community that I have grown up in, because it takes away something that has changed my life personally, and a lot of people of my friends and peers' lives that it has changed their lives, to take it away for all the kids that are going to be our next future. Thank you for listening.
Can I ask you what club you attend? Which one?
I've personally been to all of the clubs, 5th Street, the one on 7th Street, and the one at Port Hueneme, but since the only one that offers for teens is the one at 7th Street, that's the one I attend.
And is that the Keystone Club? Is that what she was referring to, Erin? Is that the teen club?
Yes, which is offered at both, I mean, not currently at the Port Hueneme location, but offered at the Port Hueneme location as well.
Has it been offered at the Port Hueneme
Yes.
location?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a Keystone member here. How many of you are from Port Hueneme? Yay!
Blanca Vega, followed by Claire Benson. And state your name and your address.
My name is Blanca Vega. I live at 2120 Socorro Street.
Where's that?
Socorro in Oxnard. Back in 1990, I was a Youth of the Year. I was raised by a single mom. So the Boys and Girls Club impacted my life greatly. I was there right after. I went to school at Bard. I got my first part-time job at the Boys and Girls Club. I got a grant for swimming classes for my brother and I. That place was my second home. My mom worked, and that's where I belonged.
Which club did you attend?
This one right here. Port Hueneme. That's where I learned a lot of things there. I mean, that's where I had my first birthday, to say it, there. To change the Boys and Girls Club to the location you guys were talking about, as that older gentleman was saying about the Bubbling Springs, I don't think that's a good area either. There's a lot of bad activities. I mean, I grew up in this area. A lot of drugs and gang-related stuff that goes on in that little creek area, little pathway back there. But I do believe this Boys and Girls Club is worth saving and keeping at this location. That's it.
Claire Benson, followed by Richard Duarte.
Hello, my name is Claire Benson. I'm 18 years old and I currently attend the 7th Street Oxnard and Port Club. The club isn't just a facility where we go after school. It's a second home for me, and I know a lot of other kids that attend there. It's given me my first job. It's given me guidance through what I wanted to do after high school. I successfully graduated high school with a 3.8 grade point average, thanks to the club, because they mentor us not just through, they don't just sit there and babysit us, you know, they mentor us through life. They give us advice on how to get successful in life, and they're just there for us, like for back support, you know, when nobody else is there. When we're going, I've struggled a lot through my 4 years of high school, and the club has always been there for me, you know? Like when I can't rely on anybody else, I can rely on the club. The staff members are not just the staff members, they're my family that I can count on through anything. And I feel like as a youth of the community, I feel like all of us have the right, and we should be given the opportunity to be able to be given these like basically opportunities to be mentored and to be guided through life. You know, we shouldn't just be on the streets. And I feel like the only organization that could fully commit to that is the Boys and Girls Club. I feel like they do the best job in guiding young people through whatever they need to, and support. So I feel like I just want the club to always be there. And I want Port Hueneme kids to be able to have that opportunity and convenience for that club right there in their own backyard. So I feel like the Boys and Girls Club is just absolutely hands down the best organization that can fulfill that job.
Richard Duarte, followed by Aaron Antrim.
Good evening, Mayor Schnapp, Mayor Pro Tem Freeze, and members of the council. My name is Richard Duarte. I reside at 2941 Leeward Way in Oxnard. I'm the chair of the board of directors of the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Oxnard and Port Hueneme. I've served on the board for more than 12 years. I've lived in Oxnard for 42 years, and I'm a retired superintendent of the Oxnard School District. I'm also a proud alumnus of the Variety Boys Club of Boyle Heights in Los Angeles, and that was my home for 4 years. Second. Good job. Thank you for this opportunity to address the council regarding this critical issue before you. We believe that the choice before you is one that has great implications for a special segment of this community. The choice is to meet the needs of a population that has traditionally been underserved in most communities. There has been a presence of the Boys and Girls Club in the city of Port Hueneme for over 50 years. In 1997, the city of Port Hueneme requested that the Boys and Girls Club of Oxnard merge with the Boys and Girls Club of Port Hueneme, and that they utilize the existing athletic club. Your staff report indicates there was a history of poor management prior to this merger. However, in the spirit of serving the youth, our board approved the consolidation. You will hear the documented needs of in the comments from our CEO, Aaron Antrim. The data presented was used in the application submitted by the City of Hueneme in obtaining the CDBG grant that is used in the current renovation of the athletic center. Also, for purposes of further clarification, we also wanted to note for the council's information that there are some inaccuracies and that we disagree with some of the staff findings and conclusions. Our club, along with the city of Port Hueneme, has effectively met the needs of our youth for the past 18 years in a joint partnership that has continued through some very difficult and economic times. We have persevered through these times, and through the generosity of several community donors, we have emerged stronger than ever. And throughout this period, we have always continued to maintain the full range of programs and services to our members. We believe that it is through the delivery of our basic core programs by caring, and you've heard from testimony of the caring and trained staff that we do have. Our core areas are character leadership development, education, career development, sport, fitness, and recreation, health and life skills, and the arts. And you can tell by the testimony that we are more than just a recreation outfit. In regards to the tentative proposal for the use of the community center, Ms. Antrim, Mr. Tony Valente, and I reviewed the site with city staff. It would be an adequate site for many recreational programs, if I'm allowed to finish this.
Yes, do you have just a few sentences?
Just a few sentences. However, it would not meet what we feel as a facility that would meet the needs and the criteria for a quality club experience. We would not be able to offer the full range of programs to achieve our stated goals that the youth of this community deserve. So we thank you for this opportunity to speak to this matter, and I strongly urge the council to not approve item 7A and to continue our services at the athletic center. Thank you.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Cruz.
Dr. Duarte, thank you very much for your comments. Very, very briefly, without going into a lot of detail, number one, you mentioned that there are some inaccuracies in the staff's recommendation. If you could just touch on those, I would appreciate it. And also, you said that the Boys and Girls Club would not be able to provide the full range of programs at the community center, and if you could just very briefly talk about that.
I don't know if I'll be able to do that very briefly, but just very quickly, I think some of the areas, for instance, in the areas that were cited in terms of maintenance, I think since 1997, when that club was already, according to the report, in a state of disrepair, that there's an implication that we did not provide any maintenance, or at least we let it fall into disrepair. Well, we disagree with that. And I think we had partners come in to help us and to provide maintenance and support. Also, if you read the lease, and I know we've gone over the lease, and it has changed several times with staff. However, we were the leasee, not the leaser, which means that we did have responsibility, but I don't think it's been brought up for normal wear and tear inside. Okay, so it goes beyond that. I think if you read the full report, there's definitely a negative tone towards the Boys and Girls Club. And we felt very strongly, our board, when I took this item to the board, we felt very strongly that as an 18-year partner, that we deserve better.
Okay, and regarding the range of programs, please.
Just again, very briefly, I think you've heard from testimony so far that we are more than just a recreation organization, that we provide support. We have currently over what's amounted to a $3 million grant from on our youth employment program, and we provide counseling, teen counseling, in terms of not only college and career, but personal support and mentorships. We also have a facility that has in cooperation with the county that provides for a night reporting center with probation. Now, that doesn't directly affect Port Hueneme, except that we are able to make referrals and provide assistance. In terms of supervision, we did, very frankly, resent the fact that we were told that there were supervision problems based on 2 visits over an 18-year period. That what I can tell you is that we have never had an incident at any of our clubs where the police were involved, except for one in Port Hueneme, and that was when a youth had to come in for safe harbor and for protection, in other words, from violence. and that was the only time that we did call it police.
Thank you very much for your help.
Anthony Galante, followed by Mike Barber.
Good evening, Mayor Munoz Schnapps and members of the council. I'm Erin Antrim, President and CEO for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Oxnard and Port Hueneme.
So you're not Anthony.
You said
Oh,
that-
did I say, okay, did I call you for, okay, because I have, no, okay.
Not
Very good.
Anthony.
Let's see, Richard Duarte, Aaron Antrim, and then Anthony Galante, okay, thank you.
I reside at 3886 Germain Street in Camarillo. As you all know, the economy has suffered greatly in the last several years. All the while, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Oxnard and Port Hueneme never lessened our services to children and families in the community of Port Hueneme. In fact, they needed us more than ever. 150 kids use the facility in Port Hueneme on a daily basis. Fundraising, individual and corporate giving have been down in the last couple of years. All the money that's been coming in went to support our programs and services. We asked the city twice, once in 2007 and another time in 2010, for long-term leases so that we may enter into a capital maintenance campaign. We were denied both times. It's very hard to conduct capital maintenance on a building that you lease for a 3-year term. Nobody's going to want to fund improvements for a 3-year lease. I know what has been talked about most is the building. I want to take a moment to talk about the impact that we have on kids and families that live in Port Hueneme. We have served over 25,000 Port Hueneme children and families over the last 5 decades in a safe, structured environment where kids can grow and thrive. When you look at some of the data from Port Hueneme, you have to ask yourself what is best for the children of Port Hueneme. 26% of Port Hueneme residents are children under the age of 18. 20% in the city live below poverty level. That's 1 in 5 children. Many more are just above the line, as the median income for Port Hueneme is just over $48,000, $10,000 less than the state of California. 72% of kids graduate from high school in the city of Port Hueneme. 13% have babies, compared to 4% nationally. We run 5 core program areas that address what Richard described to you earlier. We run these same programs at every site. We provide mentorship, guidance, caring adults in the lives of children who need us the most. Our kids do better in terms of life. Our data is conducted by an outside evaluator, Dr. Demui from CLU, shows that 96% of our kids graduate from high school. 0% get pregnant. 3.1% of our kids commit crimes compared to 9.3% in these cities. For every dollar invested into Boys and Girls Clubs program, there's a $17 return on investment. The reverse is also true. The operations at the Port Hueneme branch cost about $200,000 a year to us. The cost of disinvestment would be $3.4 million a year to the youth, their families, and the Port Hueneme community. I ask that you invest in your city's children. Let the Boys and Girls Club reoccupy the athletic center. I will close with a quote by James Baldwin. "These are our children. We will profit by or pay for what they become." Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Breeze has a
I
question.
have a question for you. Well, first, I'd like to say that I haven't heard anyone in City Hall here at Port Hueneme say anything about not having the Boys and Girls Club in Port Hueneme. But I have a question for you.
Sure.
If you could very briefly tell us why utilizing the community center does not work for the Boys and Girls Club.
Sure. The very first and foremost thing is every day we serve 150 children at the athletic center or the Boys and Girls Club. Based on preliminary studies of the community center, fixed space, we would be able to serve about 50 kids a day.
When you say serve, are you talking about
daily
lunch?
use? No, serve our programs.
Okay.
No, not punch. Well, sometimes we serve punch, but serve our programs to only 50 kids a day. That would be very difficult for our staff and our board of directors to make that choice. Who makes the cut? Who are the 50 that get the Boys and Girls Club program, and what other 100 don't, and how do we make that decision? The other thing is, we've got five core program areas, athletics being one of them, and the gym structure at the Port Hueneme location is an indoor gym. An outdoor gym, although it sounds really great in the staff report, and I'll commend Carmen for putting that together, and Greg, it's not going to work for us. An outdoor basketball facility will not work for us. Boys and Girls Clubs of America has standards as well, standards of operations, standards operating procedures, and a site like this doesn't work within those standard operating procedures.
Give me an example.
I just gave you one of athletics. We also have our 150 kids, Councilman Breeze, that we've been serving at that location.
Okay, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Hold on just a second. Councilmember Sharkey.
Yeah, okay, this 50 members served, as opposed to what, 150 or?
A day.
Okay, so per day, okay, so that's not, it's so much per hour, whatever it is. How do you derive that 50 figure?
Based on fixed space, so we figure the maximum capacity for each of those classrooms at 25. And so we have to program based on fixed space. We can't use outdoor space as fixed programmable space.
Okay, so the square footage compared to the current building is what?
I don't know what the square footage of the community center is as far as the rooms that we could use fixed on a daily basis, but I know that the athletic center is 12,000 square feet.
Okay, it doesn't seem like it's that much smaller. Now, you have programs at school sites. How do those work? How many people do you serve there?
So the programs at our school sites are funded by ACES, which is After School Safety Education programs, and those are fully funded by state funding through the ACES grant. Those are true after-school programs, and the athletics take place at different locations, including the Port Hueneme location, 5th Street location, and our 7th Street location.
So how many people do you serve at each one of those?
It depends on the funding level, anywhere from 80 to 150, depending on the site.
And what's the square footage of those?
I don't know off the top of my head. It depends on the amount of kids. We program at a ratio of 20 to 1. So if there's 80 kids, we use 4 classrooms in the multi-purpose room.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we have, hold on, you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to make the statement according to the presentation tonight here in there's 3 rooms with a possibility of up to 50 kids per room, plus the multi-purpose room of over 250 kids. So I'm having trouble understanding why you're saying there's not enough room for the kids.
So we were told 2 classrooms. We looked at the space on several occasions, and although the maximum, Carmen even said it during her report, even though the maximum occupancy is 50, when that's bare.
That's before you put tables and chairs.
That's with nothing else in it. And so once you put equipment inside of those rooms, we think about 25 would be the maximum occupancy. And as far as the auditorium, that wouldn't be available for use to us all of the time. So it would be available on, I don't want to say a limited use, but on
different days, you're talking about
right.
different days.
And so it would be really hard for us to say, oh, well, we could serve 100 kids on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 2 to 4. I mean, imagine from a parent's perspective, that would be very difficult.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
just
another
to follow up on that about, not available at certain times. What hours of the day are you operating?
We operate from 2 to 6 during school days, and on non-school days, meaning summer and holidays, we operate from 12 to 6 or 7 to 6 for day camps.
Okay. So, I don't know what the conflict would be. I mean, that's a scheduling issue, but you're not operating 10 hours a day.
No, we don't operate 10 hours a day, except for during the summer. We operate from 7 to 6. And on non-school days, we operate from 12 to 6. From our understanding, there's already, the 2 classrooms would be dedicated. The 3rd one already has senior activities going on, and the multipurpose room has already prearranged activities during the day.
Those are, do we have a schedule on that?
What Aaron has proposed is 3 hours per week that we would have to look at. And currently on Mondays, the room would be available up to 5 o'clock p.m. because we do have a hip hop dance program. What we did tell the board, the Boys and Girls Club board members who attended was that we would love to include the Boys and Girls Club members to that as well. All of these issues can be discussed and negotiated. The board members told us during our staff meetings that they would not entertain this idea until the city council made a decision about the athletic center. So a lot of these details have not been discussed in full detail.
Thank you. Yes,
Okay,
Councilmember.
that last sentence, the board told you what exactly?
They did not have authorization from the larger board to negotiate the community center. Before that they could do that and bring this back to the board, they needed to have the city council make a decision on the athletic center first. So if the city council, I'm not certain what it means, whether they would take a recommendation back to the board or not, but they would not, we did not discuss in any great detail some of these hours issues because they were not fully prepared or authorized to have those discussions with us.
And I'll remind you, City Council, that we submitted a proposal for the athletic center, not the community center.
All right, thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
it seems like
Hold
we're...
on just a second. Do you want a question, Aaron?
Well, perhaps. Let me get my
Okay,
comments out.
Councilmember Fish.
It seems like we're grilling the Boys and Girls Club here, and we're not asking the same questions the YMCA. Why is their
Well,
facility
you know what?
not...
Hold on just a second. We're going through the speaker cards, and maybe there's somebody
Well, I would
from
like to
Y.
invite our YMCA representative to address the
You
similar
will?
questions that are being given
Thank-
to the
Thank
Boys
you.
and Girls Club.
So, you know what? So I'll do that after we go through the speaker cards.
Thank you, Madam
Thank
Mayor.
you. All right. So Anthony Vellante, followed by Mike Work.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, city manager, city attorney. I had this whole thing, you've heard so much of it tonight. There isn't much more that I could tell you. I'm a board member of the Boys and Girls Clubs, Oxnard and Port Hueneme. I was a board member when it was a Port Hueneme club, and then we merged. And I was asked by Greg Ramirez, who was the nephew of Dorothy Ramirez, and I know you all know her. How about us merging? It'd be greater with funding and everything, could be a big help. And I agreed, brought that back to our small board, and the council did approve it. And here we are, all together at the athletic club. Well, you know, I know that you've heard about the programs and all the things that we do at that athletic center. Great staff report. Thank you for the time it took to put this all together. I'm just going to mention a couple of things. And it was Mr. Velthorn, who was a city manager here for many, many years. And, you know, he told me we had problems. I had conversations with him when he came back as the interim city manager. Had conversations with Mayor Pro Tem Doug Breeze that we weren't maintaining their facilities and we need to do a better job. Yes, we need to do a better job. And we tried. So I would take that back to the board and tell them we need to go into Port Hueneme and have our board meetings. And we did, to see maybe some of the work that needed to be done. Well, we wanted to do a capital maintenance campaign. We got estimates of about $457,000. But it was so difficult. The times were getting rough and tough with the recession. We couldn't do much with corporations and others because of the length of lease that we had. They want to hear you have a lease for 10 years, 15, 20 years. Then they will turn over. Am I worried?
You have 30 seconds, but go ahead.
You mean I spoke that
30
long already?
seconds, I know. Time goes fast
But
up there
anyway,
at the
when he
podium.
said that we were going to get this grant of $440,000, and God, I thought, wow, isn't that great, what we could do with that, what the renovations could do with that. And then all of a sudden, I brought that back, we were all excited. And then, about 14 months later, the council, through their strategic goals, had decided to go out with an RFP. And a lot of excitement, sadness, and the joy was taken out of it. I even asked I even nominated Council Member Ellis Green to the board, and he was excited. He wanted to come on. But then that RFP business came on. I didn't want to compromise his position, because he would have to make a decision following the council. But anyway, I strongly urge you to decline the recommendation of staff and keep Boys and Girls Clubs at the Athletic Center for all the reasons that you've heard tonight. I appreciate your time. I thank you. I thank you for being a partner for over 50 years with the Boys and Girls Clubs. That's how long we've been in there. You know, with the small little bungalows that we were in, redevelopment took that over, and we got the Athletic Center. Keep us there. Keep these kids there. It's the right thing to do.
Mike Barber, followed by Bernadette McDowell.
Good evening. My name's Mike Barber. I'm a resident in Nyland Acres, and I'm urging you to reject staff recommendation and go with the Boys and Girls Club at the Athletic Center. Now, I just told you I'm from Nyland Acres. We just got a Boys and Girls Club out there about 5 or 6 years ago, and I'll tell you, for our neighborhood out there in Nyland Acres, that's the best thing that ever happened to us. These kids congregate at the Boys and Girls Club, they do all the activities, they go on field trips, and it's kept a lot of kids out of trouble. Kids that were in trouble before the Boys and Girls Club have made a miraculous turnaround and are starting to be upstanding citizens. So I'm urging you to reject your staff's recommendation and go with the Boys and Girls Club. Now, when I was sitting here watching your presentation, and I saw the picture up there of the room you wanted to put the Boys and Girls Club in. Now remember, it's the Boys and Girls Club. It's a clubhouse. They have posters on the wall. They have all the stuff that they're working on everywhere, all around the clubhouse. That room, it was a nice, clean room, but it was pretty sterile, and I don't see how you're going to have adults in the afternoon, senior citizens, and then kids coming in here. They won't feel like it's their safe place, like it's their clubhouse. Thank you very much.
Okay, Bernadette McDowell, followed by, is it Hammy Erickson?
Gary.
Gary. Oh, Gary, sorry. Gary, okay. Go ahead, Bernadette.
Good evening, Mayor Schnapp and City Council members. I'm Bernadette McDowell, City Librarian at the Ray D. Pruder Library at 510 Park Avenue, Fort Hueneme. I'd like to start out first of all by saying that the Pruder Library is happy to collaborate with groups serving children and teens that meet at the community center and other locations to provide vocational programs on site or at the library. I'm here specifically tonight to express the library's pleasure in partnering with the City of Fort Hueneme to host a special evening event for our tween community, that is children ages 10 to 14, on Friday, February 27th. The library and the city wanted to have an event for an age group that is sometimes too old for children's programs, yet not quite old enough for teen programs. With this event, we hope to start building a relationship with our tweens to better serve a somewhat overlooked part of our local Fort Hueneme community. The Tween Night Out will start out at 5:30 with a scavenger hunt at the library, followed by dancing, video games, karaoke, and food at the community center next door. Tweens should sign up for the event at the library. And I have flyers for anybody in the audience who would like to take one home.
So, Bernadette, I think we have a couple of questions here.
Just Bernadette, could you repeat the date and time again?
It's Friday, February 27th. Starts at 5:30 at the library, and then it'll move over to the community center.
Thank you.
Okay. Gary Erickson, followed by Kathleen Booth.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you for the opportunity to address this issue. My address is 2034 Jamestown Way in Oxnard. However, I was a long-term resident of Port Hueneme, former member and chairman of your planning commission, and I was on the board and in fact president of the Port Hueneme Boys Club when this agreement was originally put together to build a new facility. And this was a facility that we began the campaign in a private fundraising process. The city came to us and said, look, we don't have good recreation facilities. We would like to make this a joint effort. We had already raised about $50,000 from the California Community Foundation, which we added to the pot of money to build this facility. The idea was this was going to be a joint effort of the Boys Club. At that point, there wasn't a Boys and Girls Club, and the city. That the responsibility for that building wasn't going to be just the Boys Club, but also the city, because the city was going to operate other programs and activities there. That was the original idea, and that's how we went forward and built this facility. This organization has served the city for 50 years. They've spent millions of dollars to provide those services. They've served thousands of kids and families along the way. You also mentioned the capital issues. I happen to own a fundraising consulting firm, and I'll tell you right now that no foundation or other is going to fund any kind of capital improvements unless you have at least a 15 or 20-year lease, because they obviously don't want to make an investment, then all of a sudden some other use for that space is going to happen. I think Supervisor Long addressed the issue appropriately. I think the facilities that you're recommending for the Boys and Girls Club are best suited for the YMCA. And I think the city should maintain that original responsibility that they brought to us 40-some years ago, that this is a joint operation, this is your home, this is our home. Continue to serve the children and families here. Keep the Boys Club where it is. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Booth. I live at 2641 Foghorn Cove. You can all come over later on after this. I am proud to tell you that I have served on the board of directors for the Boys and Girls Club. I am proud to tell you I have served on the Friends of the Port Hueneme Library. I am proud to tell you I have worked directly with the staff and directly with the kids in the room. Yay! But I'm just going to talk about facts, not emotion. Facts and specifics. These are my questions. I read the RFP. I appreciate your PowerPoint. Thank you for the work. Cost. The Y cost $700 per year per child, according to this morning's Ventura County Star. The club costs $20 per year per child, the cost of a candy bar a month. Given the facts, look at our people, what is your decision? Hardship. Any child of a family that cannot afford $20 a year, all of them come free to the Boys and Girls Club. I want a specific number for how many children will be accepted free by the Y. Look at the facts, look at our people, tell me your decision. Programs. The Y offers excellent sports programs, and I paid attention in the proposal. It mentioned nutrition, and it said several other programs. I want specifics. What are these other programs? The club offers sports. The club also offers after-school mentoring, after-school tutoring. I have worked with these kids. I went to Sacramento. The one with the $10,000 scholarship is in the back of the room. They have relationships with our university, every single college, every single vocational group in our area. Hoops or hope? What's your goal? Look at the facts, look at the people, tell me your decision. I realize that you want to put them in the small room. That is handcuffing them. 2 rooms are not enough for the robust schedule of what they offer and what they do. They change lives. I've seen the miracles. And it's not just the lives of the kids, that changes families. Look at the facts, look at our people, tell me your decision. And if I may, because Bernadette's here, and I'm not sure if she's aware of this, but I served on the board on the Friends of the Port Hueneme Library. Please be aware that the path behind the library is becoming populated with not desirable people for our kids to see. I sat in my car until I waited until this man who was standing in the woods made eye contact with me, and he blinked, and that's when I got out of the car. I've already had to go into the library once before and say, there's somebody out front, he's yelling at himself and he's waving his arms. Be aware of that because the kids are about to come from school. Look at the facts, look at our people, tell me your decision. Thank you.
We have quite a bit still to go. If anybody doesn't want to speak, and you can give up your time as well. Terry Jimenez, followed by Edna Ingram. Please remember to state your name and your address. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilman. My name is Terry Jimenez, 911 Elm Court.
What city?
Oxnard, sorry. I'm here on behalf of your community kids concerning the Boys and Girls Club. I received a letter September 10, 2014 stating that the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Oxnard and Port Hueneme have a lot to celebrate. June 11, 2014 marked their 60th birthday. The Port Hueneme Club did not get to celebrate because the kids were told that the club was going to be closed to be remodeled. After it had been closed for 4 months, we hear that the club might not be given back to the Boys and Girls Club. The kids were waiting for the club to open, were excited because after being told for years that their facility was going to get remodeled like the one on 7th Street, it was finally going to happen. The kids were proud of their club and they couldn't wait to see all the changes. The community is just now finding out that the center might not be opening. I'm here hoping to hear that the City Council of Port Hueneme will be giving back the club to the community kids. The 7th Street facility is a teen club only. The Oxnard Boys Club and Girls Club on 5th Street is a great club for the community kids, and you might be telling yourself, when can't the kids from Hueneme go to the 5th Street facility? The reason for that is because the 5th Street facility is about 2 miles away from the Hueneme facility, and a lot of their members age run from about 8 years old to 12. The kids are a little young to be walking to the club. What happens during the hours between school and home can have a dramatic impact on a child's future. Just ask the former members of the Hueneme Boys and Girls Club what kind of impact the Port Hueneme Club has had on them. The Boys and Girls Club charge $20 a year. Believe me, $20 for a low-income family and also for one-parent family is a lot of money, but they know that it's worth it to keep their kids safe. They also know what I know. If the Boys and Girls Club of Port Hueneme is still in the same place their kids would be safe walking to the club because their school is right next door. I really hope the City of Port Hueneme will give the community kids the remodeled facility that they were told they would get. I have one question though. Why isn't it just simple to move or to let the YMCA go to the community center and just give the Boys and Girls Club a chance to build it even better than what it is now. Thank you very much.
Anna Ingram, followed by Anna Garcia. So is Miss Ingram here? All right, so we move on. Anna Garcia, followed by Alejandra Juarez. Remember to state your name and address.
Good evening, Anna Garcia, 636 East Scott Street, Port Hueneme. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Boys and Girls Club for keeping me off the streets when I was a teenager and having programs such as the boxing club and extended programs such as the tattoo removal that was offered to not just the teens from the Boys and Girls Club, but anybody from the streets that wanted to come and get tattoos removed. I have two daughters who have both attended the Boys and Girls Club in Port Hueneme and was looking forward to having my two sons who attend Richard Bard be able to walk across the parking lot and be able to attend the Boys Club as well. I don't recommend that the Boys Club be moved over to the community center. One, because of the equipment that you guys are going to have to be putting away every day. That's extra use on the equipment that's going to deteriorate even faster. Also, the kids that are attending the Boys Club right now, you have to think these are not your neat and tidy kind of kids. They run a smug all over the Boys and Girls Club. That facility is going to get messed up. Regardless of how much maintenance you try to do, it's going to deteriorate soon, and this is 47 years of wear and tear. You're going to have to expect the same thing for the new location. As a homeowner of Port Hueneme, I recommend that you do not move the Boys and Girls Club from where it's currently located at. There's too many low-income and middle-income families that depend on this program. I sure, with 4 kids, cannot afford a $3,000 annual after school care, and that's what they're for. They help out not just the kids, but they also help out the families that don't have any other resources to be able to send their kids to. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Followed by Jesse Diaz.
Good evening. My name is Alejandra Juarez, and we live in the corner of B Street in Bonoma. It's 113 East. When I moved here with my daughter to Port Hueneme in 2010, so she started joining the Hueneme Elementary. So the school is amazing, obviously, but my first question was, where am I going to live my daughter after school? I'm a single mom. So they told me the after-school program is not a daycare and it's just for kids with low grades. And my daughter was doing good, so she's not able to stay there. So asking my neighbors, the first recommendation was the Boys and Girls Club. And she started joining right away Boys and Girls Club for $10, I guess, or $15 a year, and then they raised it $20. So it is no big deal. This last year it's been hard because as a single mom, pay $450 or $500 just for someone to pick up my daughter and keep her for a couple hours until 6 when I get out of my job and I'm able to pick her up. For me, it's a big deal. So besides that, these ladies, because it's 2 different ladies who are helping me right now picking my daughter, so they are moms, regular moms. I'm not judging them, but Heidi is there just eating something and watching TV waiting for me. Boys and Girls Club is amazing. She is able to do art, sports, friends, computer lab. They helping with the homework. So right now I'm picking Heidi and doing homework with her. What is my job? I'm her mom, you know, but it's really nice when you get help in the Boys and Girls Club and you just have to check if it is okay or if it is right and make dinner. So besides that, so the location is perfect because even my daughter is in the Hueneme Elementary and it's like a couple blocks away. They have a walk-in program for $40 a month, what is like pretty good for me. So I'm paying for $100 or $500 a month now. So for $40 a month, they go pick up a group of kids and walking with them. They are safe, they doing good activities, they are in everything there is positive. And I have another question about if they move the program to the community center, what is going to happen for the summer when they start at 7 a.m. in the morning and they have all other activities there. So I'm just here to support the Boys and Girls Club. Seriously, for us, it's a huge help, not just for the money, for the activities, everything is positive, and it's a great place, it's a safe place. Now my other option is, if I don't want to spend the $400 or $500 a month, I have to let my daughter to walk by herself from the school to our apartment, and it's not an option for me. I prefer to pay $20, $25 daily to the babysitter than expose my daughter for someone to, pull her to a car or a house or something. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. We have Jesse Diaz followed by Richard Mungaray.
Hello, Council. My name is Jesse Diaz. I'm a resident in Fort Wayne for 20 years now. I live on 429 5th Street, Fort Wayne. I have 3 children. They've been members at that Fort Wayne. They all attended our elementary that's right next door. This past year, it's been real difficult for me and my family. My 8-year-old and my 12-year-old, normally they would go to the Boys and Girls Club. My son, he's in high school. Now they have to go home and, and basically wait until I get there. Get off at 2:30. I work in Santa Barbara. I'm not home until 6. Normally they would go to the Boys and Girls Club. It's a perfect location. When I was young, I attended there, so I know that is good. I mean, you guys heard it from everybody. It's just a place where young teenagers, kids, it helps out the parents, the low cost of it. I don't think the other location would work out. My daughters are thinking about their like arts and crafts program that they have, like that room size. I've been to the community center to sign up my daughters for. The only time I've ever been there is my daughter did ballet there, and then also to sign up for like AYSO soccer. So I went into that little room, next to the big room, and they're both around the same size, and I can't even see how the Boys and Girls Club really operate there at all. I'm totally against you guys moving the location. The location where it's at is the best location for it. It has a gym. Nowhere else in the city of Fort Wayne has a basketball gym that is open for the youth. That's it. My kids, they also play basketball. I was able to coach them, 2 years in a row. So, at the community center, they don't have a gym. You guys would have to build something, and that would be later on down the road. And, sports. Not only that, they do volleyball there. I just want you guys to keep it there at the same location. I know you guys heard everybody else. There's so many reasons why you should keep it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that Richard Mungaray? Yes, followed by Anna Heath. Go ahead. Yeah, you can adjust the mic down.
Hi, my name is Richard Mungaray. I live at 532 East Scott Street at Fort Wayne. I started going to the Boys and Girls Club since I was 7 years old. When I went there, they helped me a lot on my homework, and the sports really helped me. My mom could afford the Boys and Girls Club membership. It's not a good idea to put the Boys and Girls Club at Bowling Springs because there's people doing drugs through the walk path, and there's a lot of skaters and bikers. They can talk to through the fence, like they can talk bad words and all that stuff to the kids. I think you should keep the Boys and Girls Club there because it's easy for me and my brother to walk there. And it's really saving money for my mom. Thank you.
Hold on, can you come back to the podium, Richard? Yeah.
You said
Mayor
you-
Pro Tem Grace has a
You said
question.
you've been going to Boys and Girls Club since you were 7. How old are you now?
I'm 13.
Okay, thank you.
Hannah Heath, followed by Kathy Lumen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anna Heath. I don't know my current address. I just moved to Ohio. But I'm from Oxnard, and I'm the current Youth of the Year for the Boys and Girls Club, not just for my club, but for the Ventura County Boys and Girls Clubs as well. I've been to the Boys and Girls Club for 12 years, so I'm almost 13. And the Boys and Girls Club was and is my home. I went there every day for, well, not now, but I mean, I went there right after school. And my mom, back then, she was all by herself. My dad was in the military, so he was never home. So that was the first place I went to, every day. I went straight there, staffed in my homework, or well, didn't do my homework, I did, but they helped me. And, I mean, it was a home to me. And for those of you who have kids, would you ask your own kid, would you move from their home to a smaller place? And like, I wouldn't do that. If I was a 6-year-old kid and you asked me, would you move from your home to a smaller 3-room place, I would say no. And would you ask any of these kids that are sitting out here? Probably not, because they give you some answer. And I mean, the YMCA, I mean, you guys do a lot. I work out at the YMCA sometimes, and they gave a great proposal today, but I wouldn't move the Boys and Girls Club at all. I didn't go to this Boys and Girls Club, but that is a perfect place for kids in this community to go there. And for $20 a year, that's perfect. And $50 or $59 a month, that's ridiculous. And I wouldn't pay that at all. And that's just ridiculous.
Did you say you live in Port Hueneme?
No, I live in Ojai
You
now.
live in Ohio? And which Boys and Girls Club do you go to?
I go to the Teen Center on 7th Street, but I grew up at the one on 5th Street.
Okay, thank you.
I have nothing else to say.
Kathy Lumen, followed by Jessica Aranjo.
Hi there. My name is Kathy Lohman, and I'm actually the administrator of the Gene Haas Foundation. You probably all know Haas Automation. They're one of the largest employers in Oxnard, actually in Ventura County. And I just took over the position as the administrator of the foundation, and because the vice president and one of the founders of Haas, Peter Zerhut, had been on the board of the Boys and Girls Club for the last 20 years. He asked me if I would take this position as well, and I came and met the people and met the kids and was very happy to do it. I didn't say where I live. I live in Newport Beach, California. My address is 1671.
For low-income families, I understand you have grants or
We do.
something. Could you estimate for Port Hueneme how many grants you think might be available?
Well, I think the percentage that we were required to offer was 51% of the community was need to be low income, and that's relatively high for us. Most of our facilities run between 15 to 25% of the participants are scholarshiped, and that includes, all of our sports programs, all of our youth development programs, our leadership programs, senior programs that offer them mobility and strength and social opportunities. Most of those are scholarshiped as well, so a fairly large percentage. But it really does depend on the community.
Okay, thank you so very much.
Are your programs on a daily basis?
Most of our
Are you
facilities.
open 7 days a week?
Yeah, most of the facilities are 7 days a week, most of them open at 5:30 in the morning and close at 10 o'clock at night, shorter hours on Saturday and Sunday. But again, it depends on the program offerings. We also have a teen shelter and Atworth Youth Center. We go out into the community and also work with homeless teens and provide counseling and things for them. So we have a broad swath, and it really, again, depends on what that community's needs are. And I would just impress on the council that really, in responding to this proposal, that's what we wanted to do, was fill a gap. We don't want to come in and offer programs that another exceptional nonprofit is offering, or what the city is offering. We don't want to double up. We're here to fill a gap if there is a gap. We want to be in a community that wants us to be there and needs us to be there. And so that was where the informational proposal came from.
Mayor Song.
Yes, Councilmember Henson.
Thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate. I hold the YMCA in high regard. I've worked quite a bit with Amber Stevens over in Ventura, super lady.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys have some of the best swimming programs available. A couple of questions. First, if you did get the Boys and Girls Club building, what's your anticipated membership for the first year?
It depends on when we would gain access to a facility the first year. If you get a facility in November, December, there's always a push in the health and wellness area in January. If you don't hit in January, and if you start in June, then it's going to be a lot lower. So it really would depend on when we came in. And our proposal and the budget pro forma was based on getting in like in November and then having to push up in January. And the deficit that we showed the first full year that we ran, if we were to get it in a full year, was about $77,000 in our startup phase. And we were proposing that we split that with the city until we were able to, if we were able to surplus any funds, then we would pay a facility usage agreement and provide income to the city. But again, the proposal was based on the full spectrum of what we felt we could offer here. We wouldn't need to start with all of the wellness pieces if it was about small group wellness classes, if it was about diabetes prevention programs, chronic disease prevention programs, youth leagues that we could participate with the Boys and Girls Club, and then, that's an opportunity too, to where that deficit wouldn't be there.
Well, let me ask you another question too, but we didn't really tie down to 15, 20, 50 members.
Right. We were expecting, I'm sorry to interrupt, but to get up toward 400, 500 in that first year and a half to 2 years.
Okay. If you did come over to the community center instead, what would be your objections that it wouldn't be the best facilities for you? Would it be the outside park there with the troublesome areas, or?
We could do some of our instructional programs there, but a full wellness program, there just isn't the space. So it would all be group exercise, that kind of thing. You could do team leadership and grooming programs there, but I think just with the Boys and Girls Club, it's just limited space.
Okay.
Beautiful facility.
The last question, if the Boys and Girls Club also couldn't find a facility just correctly, and you did get the athletic building, would you be able to absorb 150 to 200 kids almost immediately? It's all low income, or 90% low income?
Again, that's not in our proposal. That would be something that we would have to speak with the school district about, the Boys and Girls Club obviously about, because that's not what we are here to do. We're not here to take on those kids. Those are Boys and Girls Club kids. And, we spoke with the staff. We're not here to go toe to toe. We're here to fill a gap. And that's really important that is heard loud and clear, because we respect what they do in our communities. And without them, we'd have a lot of kids that are, as they said, they're out on the streets.
Okay.
That's really important.
You guys do a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, may I
Yes,
address the
Councilmember.
speaker?
Yeah, sure.
I'm very troubled that we're pitting two quality organizations against each other, and I apologize on behalf of my colleagues. It shouldn't be that way. I have a couple of questions, and maybe one that may have you rethink the community center approach. According to the literature I read about the Channel Islands Division, about 19% of your members are receiving scholarships, and yet we have an occupancy issue with the Boys and Girls Club that's upwards of 90 to 95% low income. What assurance can you provide that no child would be turned away simply because I couldn't afford it. The second question is I don't quite understand your scholarship award process. It sounds to me it's discretionary, and I'm not sure if I understand how determinations are made.
Sure, we actually work from a sliding scale that's a free lunch scale. So whatever is working within that school district, that's a scale we use, and that's how we determine the rates of pay. But if someone comes back and says, you know, $15 is still too much, my son is needing medical care, those sort of things, then we evaluate that. So that's the discretionary part. If what they would qualify underneath the free lunch scale is too much, that's where we would work with giving more.
Given the demographics here, like I say, 90 to 95% of the members of the Boys and Girls Club would be in that category. Can you absorb that much in a scholarship program?
It depends on the programs that they would be interested in. Because again, we wouldn't be providing the after-school programs. We're not proposing that. And we don't provide drop-in programs. We provide licensed programs typically at the school themselves. And so it would depend on if there were families coming in. In Lompoc, California, they've got 16% unemployment. The median income is, I think, 39. I mean, and it works there for us. You have a very diverse group of people who belong to a YMCA, and you have folks that have very high income working out with folks that might live in shelters. We have folks that live in cars that come to the Y. And so with that diversity, that helps to help us cover those expenses. But we do also have a robust fund development program as a charity. We have to raise a lot of money. Last year, just in our annual campaign, we raised over $900,000, close to $1 million. We gave away $1.2 million, so the rest of that was in funds and grants. So we rely on the individual and corporate dollars a little bit less than we do on grants. But so we have to do a lot of hard work.
Can I stop right here? We have had a very long evening, and I know that there's some of us that need to take a break right now, so
I have one last question, if I might.
Short though, because we, it's 9:30, and so I asked this just because I want to be sensitive to some of us that have had to sneak out and run to the restrooms. Could we just take a break for like 3 minutes possibly? And okay, thanks. So hold on, we'll be back in about 3 minutes. Okay, thanks. Questions?
I forgot.
Oh, you didn't write them down?
No, as you know, the athletic center was built with block grant monies, which was intended to serve a low and moderate income population. It was then renovated in the last year with the same source of funds for the same purpose. So my thinking here is instead of you being straddled with a 51% minimum obligation to serve low income, that you be removed of that burden in exchange for going to the community center, and then you can serve a much broader population on a fee-based model, whereas the Boys and Girls Club would continue to occupy a facility that historically they've served that population segment. So that's my question to you. Would that be attractive at all to the Y in reevaluating their interest in the community center?
We'd have to do just that. We would have to come back and group together, because the plan that we put together was a long-term plan to partner with the city and with other organizations to, again, serve those gaps, identify and serve those gaps. And so we would have to circle the wagons back.
So you're open to the idea?
Yeah, I think that it would be a real challenge to do the depth of what I think is needed in the community, but we would never turn away an opportunity to at least take a good hard look at it.
And if in the course of that discussion we were able to transport programs that are currently operating there to the athletic center to complement the programs the Boys and Girls currently operate, so that you'd have an exclusive use facility, would that be attractive?
Again, I think that I would need to pull our staff team together, reevaluate if we don't have the space that we had looked at, and that was all 3 spaces. Where do we need to go? How can we do this in a way that's meaningful for the community members here in Port Hueneme?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Councilmember Sharkey.
Yes, yeah, thank you. It has been a long meeting, as we all know. I think you did come up with an excellent proposal, and I do not want to go through it at this time, but there's one item here that I really think people need to know and understand, is the respite child care services for military families. I know we had an active duty member here, and I know my own family went through that, and My daughter-in-law had a 1-year-old when my son was deployed. That's a critical need. We talk about underserved populations and needs of the community. That is a critical need, and when I read this, I was so pleased to see that was in there. We do have underserved population, and I want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight, especially the young folks. It's not easy to come out and make a speech and express your emotion, be so articulate. What a great example you all are. Thanks for coming out. We really do appreciate this. But one of the things that caught my attention is this notion of partnering. You said the proposal you made was to provide complementary services. Somehow this has gotten translated into an adversarial, one side or the other side, somebody wins, somebody loses, and I don't think that was ever the intent of this body or anybody at this city. It seems to me that we've been presented with one possible division here in the staff recommendation. That's one possible way to do it. Rick Fig asked a few questions about other ways to do it. It seems to me that maybe with a little more work and negotiation with all the parties on board, that maybe we can find a way to divide the needs to divide the service for the needs of this community. There's a lot of focus on the athletic center, but we're forgetting Miranda Park. Volker Park hasn't even come into this. We've got the whole north side of the city that's underserved. There's some crying needs in the city for large sections of our population. And I keep thinking back to the 18th century political philosopher Jeremy Bentham, who said the purpose of government is to provide the greatest good for the greatest number. And I think that's what we're trying to get to. So let me ask you, and I think you may have already answered this, but do you think we could all be better served with a little more negotiation as to this providing complementary services in a complementary way? Maybe say the sharing facilities, if it comes down to that, maybe scoping the services a little differently, so that we do broaden the service to all our community, but we don't lose anything that we've already got. Do you think that would be fruitful?
Well, I think at any time having conversations with people with like-minded goals, there can't be any harm in that.
Okay, so being as how it's late, may I suggest let me move that we return this to staff with that being the direction of further negotiations.
Well, can I add some things
Well, of
before
course
you
you
do
can.
that?
I will hold off, or we can discuss it as a motion, whichever you choose, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, no, let me
All right,
address.
we'll
Thank
hold
you.
on.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much to both the YMCA as well as the Boys and Girls Club for taking a good and hard look at what kind of services you could provide to our community, because as you can see, there's great interest, both young and old, both those that have lived here as well as those that just moved into the area. There's a great need to serve our community, no matter what. And I believe, just to let all of you know, it was that and that alone to serve the community as to why this came up as an RFP from the City Council last year. It was really to broaden the aspect of, what could the city do but is limited? What could other organizations that come into our city partner with and really put together a very broad scope of work, of coverage, of, maybe instead of 5 days, a 7-day program. We're a very small city and we're pretty much built out, and so we can't provide new gyms and new locations, but we really wanted to maximize every single inch of space we have. And that goes for all the parks, that goes for the Pleasant Valley Athletic Center. It goes for everything that we have in this community. And we also heard then that there are people who don't even live in the community of Port Hueneme, but use our services like those in South Oxnard and Oxnard. And so I applaud you for doing that. But it was really that and that alone is why we brought this issue to light, as well as incorporated then our commissions and some volunteers in the community to really take a look and structure something. You know, if we could wipe the slate clean and start afresh and look at what we could provide to the community, that's the question that was on the table. It wasn't to kick somebody out. It wasn't to replace. It was really to augment everything that we have. And so I really want to make that statement, because it was in no way intended to kick anybody out. It was intended then to broaden the scope of services for all our residents. I mean, that was the issue that we brought up. And I know that former council member Ellis Green, I don't know if he's still around because he had this little one in tow, but he stated it very clearly at the beginning of the meeting. So, you know, I really appreciate it, and I know we do too. You know, the staff worked hard, our commissioners worked hard, our volunteers, as well as each of the boards that had to take a look at this RFP and put this together. There was even one third group that you didn't hear about tonight, and it was Pacific Camps, who actually submitted an RFP. So there was 3 actual organizations that really wanted to say, hey, you know what, City of Port Hueneme, we can partner with you. These are the things that we can provide to your residents. And so that's what it was all about.
So, Madam Mayor, can I speak, or are you done yet, or are you?
I am almost done. Thank
Great.
you very much,
Shall we take a break?
Councilmember Fig. All right. So anyways, you know, I just wanted to mention that. I had attended the Girls Club of Oxnard even before it became merged with the Boys and Girls Club. Back in the day when our only club was a 3-bedroom house over by Lions Park in Oxnard. I don't know if any of you have either seen that place. I think it's now a residential unit, but that's where I attended the Girls Club. It wasn't anything to, you know, to say, hey, we had a great place that had outdoor facilities. We actually used the park next door, Lions Park, for a lot of the activities that the Girls Club had for girls my age. And that was when I was in elementary school and junior high school. So that's what we had. We had to go out and look at some of the other services that were available and use those, because we had crafts and arts and sewing and all those things, but in a 3-bedroom place. So we actually then did, the group that did partner with the City of Oxnard. Just wanted to let you know that those were my humble beginnings when I was at a girls' club when I was younger. So with that, we have...
May I now?
Yes.
And my comments aren't directed to you specifically, so if you like...
I got it. You can sit. Thank you. Thank you so much.
By the way, I coached the boys and girls football team to 1 Super Bowl. We missed out the second year, so that's my limited experience in the Boys and Girls Club. Kids, you just got a civics lesson in your life. Thank you for coming out. This is your classroom, because your participation can make a difference in your lives, in the future of your community. This is not purely a business decision. This is about the community we want to be. I have a speech here, and I handed it out to the City Council, and it talks about some of the blemishes and the positives of this process. It's not all good stuff, a lot of it is. But I'm going to dispense with that, and I want to ask that we made part of the record, because it really explains my position here. Bottom line is, you spoke. This is the community's will, not my will. I have all kinds of analysis and the like, and justifications and rationalizations and all that stuff. But you spoke. And so before a motion is made here, what I'd like to suggest is, yeah, let's go back to the negotiation table, but let's have it more specific. What I'd like to see is to negotiate with the Boys and Girls Club for the athletic center. And we need to deal with operational issues, and I don't have to go into all that. We want to make certain that there's equalization of the staffing and the budgeting that's going into the other Boys and Girls facility that serves the greater Oxnard area, to make sure that we get a fair shake. And we want to make sure that we have a better utilization of the building. If that means bringing over some of the community center facility programs and share it with the Boys and Girls Club, great. But we need to make better utilization of the building. So there's a number of operational issues that I think are worthy of discussing with the Boys and Girls Club as it relates to the athletic center. And then conversely, to have a separate set of negotiations or discussions with the YMCA regarding exclusive use of the community center. So that's what I would suggest to this council, that tonight we can't make a hard, fast decision, but I think we need to have greater direction to staff.
Can I ask a question though, Councilmember Fig? You mentioned that you have notes that you passed to us. I didn't get those notes. Did you say something that you had us?
Oh, no, it's additional material that's in your packet.
Oh, the letters that we had received? Yeah. Okay, yeah, because we did receive letters from the community these last couple of days. Okay.
And I just want to make sure it gets in the record for what it may be worth. But again, it was the community's words that spoke, not my speech. Well, I'll make that motion. I mean, if Councilman Sharkey was...
Well, I need clarification on the motion. My motion that I was suggesting was that we get all parties together for further negotiation as to the shape of partnering. I'm reticent to say that the Y could never use any part of the athletic center. Maybe it may make sense for him to use it when the Boys and Girls Club is not, so I don't want to get into too much specificity here. The objective is that, as it always has been, that we maximize the use of all our facilities in the city and serve as much of our population as possible. Now, it seems to me that is entirely possible with the Boys and Girls Club using the athletic facility, athletic building. But I don't want to preclude, you yourself mentioned maybe there's community center programs that could come there. Right now, I mean, that building's not used, but 4 or 5, 4 to 6 hours a day. There are plenty of hours in the day where that could be used for something else. I don't know that we need to, as a body right now tonight, get into what that split would be or how it's done. I think that the sensibility that I want to convey is that we need to maximize the use of everything. Miranda Park, the athletic center, community center, and yes, Volker Park has been left out of the conversation. And how we get there, we've got some experts in the room that know how to do that, and that's the old General Patton thing. You don't tell people how to do their job. You tell them what you want done, and they'll surprise you with the results. And let's hope we get a pleasant surprise. So that would be my intent.
I guess the difference is that I think that there's a desire to give preference to a location, a primary location, and I understand that there may be some sharing opportunities between both organizations. That's assuming that there's a desire for the Y to even look at the relook at the community center. But I think that there's a desire here to express a preference. And so I agree that we want to keep the discussions broad, but I certainly would like it to be an expressed desire of the council to accommodate the Boys and Girls Club at the athletic center.
Well, Madam Mayor,
Yes,
if I may
please.
again, I think the position of the Boys and Girls Club is pretty clear. I mean, go into any discussions with that position. I think we understand that. There again, I don't want the intent of this council to be to preclude anybody else. And if that's, if anybody interprets that, then I think they're interpreting, certainly what my intent would be incorrectly. We're sort of starting with a baseline here that the Boys and Girls Club is not interested in using the community center. And so the question then becomes, all right, if that's their baseline position, what else can we do? Do we work around that? Are there some things they could do there? Or are there other things that could be that the Y could do at the Boys and Girls Club in off hours? How do you divide the hours? And that's not a discussion I don't think we ought to have. I appreciate your sentiment, and I just, I'm a little hesitant to get into some of the specifics here, and I think we need to tread very carefully on that. I think as far as staff direction goes, I think staff understands where the council is.
staff
is there-
understand what council is desiring?
So is there.
People don't.
Shall I give this a try? It sounds like you would like us to go back and meet with both the Boys and Girls Club and see what type of programming might work out best for the athletic center. If that's the Boys and Girls Club, we'll find that out. And bring back to you, I guess, the results of that, I'll call it collaboration right now. Is that?
No, there's some
Okay,
additional things.
Okay, that was, so.
My intent in the motion I was about to make would be to have the Y and the Boys and Girls Club in the room at the same time.
That's what I meant.
City staff, okay.
So a collaborative event, if you will, that would bring all parties together to see what type of arrangements could be made for either sharing facilities or determining who's best suited for which facility, and bring that back to you as a single recommendation.
And it's not an exclusive just with the athletic center on Pleasant Valley Road. It's everything that we have.
So basically, I see. It sounds like you would like us to take all three facilities and the two providers and to sit down with them and try to come up with a single recommendation for use of the facilities. So I assume if there's some sharing opportunities, that would come out. If it turns out one or more of the providers can or cannot live with a certain facility, that would be determined as well. So
Does that sound like your?
I think
Councilman Ruiz has something to say about that.
No, you go first.
Okay, Councilmember Hensley.
Something that's very neat about this community. We have a lot of wonderful people. It's a low-income community for the most part. And the most essential thing, having gone and lived in foster homes, is that children, people growing up, single parents, have an opportunity for a safe haven for their children, or those children have a safe haven. The Boys and Girls Club absolutely provides most of that from what I can see and what I've been informed on. They provide meals, they provide sanctuary, and they're an excellent element in protecting our kids and our community. And if we stop it, and they're not able to go to the other one, the police department, from 4 or 5 years now, will have a lot of problems with gangs. The gangs are there, guys. The Boys and Girls Club keeps them away. We cannot kick the Boys and Girls Club out of their home that they've been there for 40 years. Thank you.
If I could address the council.
Can you, we have a motion.
Okay, just on behalf.
I'm sorry, we're continuing on a conversation,
Okay.
and I think
We
Robert's
asked for a timeline.
Robert's Rule of Order, I think those details are gonna be handled as we finish this motion. I can't have you come address the council. Thank you.
Apologize after.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem Breeze.
Okay. I've been studying this issue for a number of months. Actually, for a lot longer than that. For those of you that don't know, I used to be the Public Works Director for the City of Fort Wayne. And I remember I had an employee, I don't know if any of you might know this person, his name was Louis Luna. Anybody remember him? He started with the city when he was 17 years old. He told me the story about they had a service station down here off of Main Street, and the city took it over or something, and the mayor happened to be standing there, and Louis was 17 years old, and he walked up, and the mayor said, "Hey kid, you want a job?" He said, "Start pulling all those weeds." And Louis worked for the city for 40 years. He worked for the city. But I remember him telling me, and a number of Public Works employees telling me that when they were kids, one one of them told me that his parents worked at in the agricultural fields and lived in the housing that was provided by the rancher, and the kids went to the Boys and Girls Club, and what a wonderful help the Boys and Girls Club was for those children as they were growing up. And as the mayor indicated, the intent of the city council is not to get rid of the Boys and Girls Club, for heaven's sakes, no. We all have been huge supporters of the Boys and Girls Club. I personally donate quite a bit to the Boys and Girls Club. I've sponsored kids to go in there. I attend the gala, and my wife yelled at me for how much money I spend at the auction. But the Boys and Girls Club is, in my mind, a permanent fixture of Port Hueneme. I would like to make a proposal and make a motion. This is what I'd like to do. I think this motion may solve a number of issues. My motion would be, well, let me say this first. I know that the city of Oxnard owns the land that the Boys and Girls Club's buildings are on both 7th Street and 5th Street. The city of Oxnard owns the land, the Boys and Girls Club own the facilities. That way they can get loans and they can do what they want and they're responsible for the maintenance and it's not a lease agreement. So here's my motion. I propose that the city, I move that the city of Port Hueneme sell that building to the Boys and Girls Club for $1. With the contingency that if the Boys and Girls Club ceases to use it for Boys and Girls Club activities, that ownership goes back to the city of Port Hueneme. That's number one. Number two of my motion is to direct staff to get back with the Boys and Girls Club and the Y and see if there are any community services activities that a partnership between the three that would benefit the community. For staff to get back with the Boys and Girls Club and the Y and see if there's anything that can be done to increase the utilization of the rest of the city's property and give that building to the Boys and Girls Club so they have a permanent home here in Port Hueneme.
Okay, so I am going to then ask for clarification because it sounds like there's possibly two motions on the table right now. Or three. Okay, so.
Madam Mayor, I'll second the substitute motion, but I ask the gentleman.
You're seconding my motion?
Yes, and just so we can discuss it. I'd like to ask the gentleman, you're proposing selling the building and subsequent to selling the building, then negotiating use?
No. We could ask the Boys and Girls Club to coordinate with the Y, but I wouldn't want the city to interfere with the operations of the Boys and Girls Club. Frankly, I'm not happy with the situation that's going on with the Boys and Girls Club at the rec center, leasing a building and who's responsible for what maintenance, and the kids end up suffering. Give them the building and then tell staff to figure out, ask them if we can figure out how to increase the community activities of the rest of the city's facilities.
All right, so the intent would be that the athletic center would then be completely for Boys and Girls Club use.
Here's a dollar.
I got a dollar too.
So, where do we go from here? So there was a motion, did he clarify it for you? So,
If I might, are we
Yes,
not concerned
Councilmember
with
Figg.
any operational issues regarding, are we concerned at all about operational issues such as staffing ratios and that sort of thing?
You know what, Oxnard does not stick their nose into what goes on 5th Street. Why would the city of Port Hueneme want to, I'll use the term micromanage, I know that's not the right term, but to to want to manage the Boys and Girls Club activities in Fort Hueneme.
Fair enough.
Now, just for clarification, there'll need to be, if this were to pass, legal documents drafted up and grantees and just there'd be some work to be done and then brought back to council, so just want to make that clear.
Brought back to council for what purpose?
For approval of the agreements.
Oh,
And
okay.
if, I believe you indicated some type of clawback provisions, so
Right.
all of that would have to be
Right.
worked in, and I'm assuming maybe negotiated with the Boys and Girls Club? So
Well, to me
it may be
it's
something
clear.
you want to refer back to staff.
If the Boys and Girls Club ceases to use the facility for Boys and Girls Club purposes, it comes back to the city.
Again, I feel much more comfortable legally bringing back documents for the council to press.
That's fine with me.
So,
I got a second.
so, all right.
So you probably want to refer this back to staff with that as your intent, and then we would bring that back to you.
Yes, Councilmember Sharkey.
What I'm wrestling with on this, and I understand the merits of the motion entirely, is that we get back to our basic premise of maximizing our facilities. And clearly with this, then, this relieves the city of a certain burden, which provides us, frees up other aspects. That pretty much, well, maybe it doesn't. Maybe the Boys and Girls Club and the Y can work out some agreement between them for off-hour use or something that could be possible. Yeah, I'm not taking a position necessarily. I'm just trying to think through the process here a little bit about how this would work. Clearly, everything would be up to the Boys and Girls Club. Is that correct? If they wanted to, you really partner with another agency for off-hour uses, or
You know what, John, one of the things that struck me, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, he said, the community center looks so sterile. Boys and Girls Club, that's their home, and have posters on the wall, da, 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 da. I don't want to get involved with telling the Boys and Girls Club such and so has to use it the third Wednesday of the month.
So that would be their decision entirely.
Up to that.
That would be their decision entirely, yeah. And the city would not be, I assume this agreement would be drafted so that the city would no longer be responsible for any maintenance burdens.
Be their building.
Right, and because I know, I and other members of this council have had discussions with the board and admitted the shortcomings. This is an issue I've been following for decades. My son's 41 years old and he used to go there, so it's gone up and down, and it's clear that and I appreciate there's new management at the Boys and Girls Club. I don't want to hold anybody now responsible for the sins of the past.
My
But they got to
proposal,
step up their game, and this would just be.
my proposal, of course, is subject to the approval of the board of directors for the Boys and Girls Club. They need to mull it over. It's cold, this is a cold subject to them. So and we can't force them to take the building. But I would certainly like to offer it to them.
Excellent, thank you.
Mayor Snob,
Yes, Councilmember Hensley.
I kind of like Councilman Breeze's proposal. I feel that if they owned their own building, they would be far more responsible for it. They wouldn't have to worry about short-term leases. They've been there for 30, 40 years almost. Gosh darn, it's theirs. I concur with Councilman Breeze. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so, is there any further discussion? I have the situation of actually going back and asking the same question we asked our staff many months ago. And I guess it may not even apply anymore. It was where we asked them to put an RFP out to make sure that we're maximizing all the locations within the city. And so it almost seems like we're putting that aside and going for maybe something that would be very similar to not even putting together an RFP and introducing this. I mean, is that what we want to do?
Madam Mayor, I think you're correct. Let them have the club. Please, we don't need to tell them how to run their own business.
I guess my issue is this, is that if there is a promise, if there's a contract signed and people don't abide by it, that's the problem I have. I'm not going to go over all the documentation that we've read, but I know that that was one of the first things that caused us then to realize we had a tremendous asset in Port Hueneme, namely the Pleasant Valley Athletic Center and other assets in the community that were underutilized and really not serving all the community. So my whole concern is that we're back to square one. We may not have additional services perhaps. We're hoping that that comes out in continued discussions. But I'm not, you know, I'm having a hard time here stepping away from what our staff and our commissioners did.
Let me.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Breeze, yes.
Okay. The underutilization of the rest of the city's facilities, the tennis courts, the basketball courts, Miranda Park. Personally, I'd like to see a skate park built in Port Hueneme somewhere. Staff going through this process has taken a good hard look at the rest of our facilities, the community center, what programs are being given. And I know especially our assistant city manager has been working very hard at identifying what programs there are and what options there are out there. Pulling the rec center out of this study doesn't throw all that hard work away. There's still more that staff needs to do to get the rest of the city's facilities utilized. What do we got? 3 beautiful baseball diamonds that are underutilized. Volker Park, as Councilmember Sharkey mentioned. So I would say give the rec center to the Boys and Girls Club and then have staff look at the rest of our rec facilities and come up with a recommendation.
So that was, hold on just a second, so that was your motion. Okay. Yes,
Can we call for the vote now?
Councilmember Sharkey.
Okay. Just to point out that under the present situation, it's costing the city about $50,000 a year plus to maintain that building. That will be avoided costs should this agreement come to pass. So that's nothing to sneeze at.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, call for the question.
Yes, so we have, so there was a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call vote, or, thank you.
Councilmember Breeze? I'm sorry. Councilmember Fig?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Hensley?
Yes.
Councilmember Sharkey?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Breeze?
Yes.
Mayor Schnapper?
No. Okay, so it passes with 4-1. Item 8. Is there any report? Yes, Councilmember Sharkey.
Yes, I had the pleasure of representing the Regional Sanitation District at the meeting of the California Association of Sanitation Agencies.
I will regret it because I can't afford to keep it.
Excuse me, can I ask that the conversations be carried on outside? We still have a couple of other things to take care of tonight. Thank you.
Right, so there was a lot of conversation about weather. And I'm concerned to this body, to the city. It was a good presentation on sea level rise. If we stop all carbon production today, sea levels will continue to rise for 1,000 years. The recent king tides we just had are going to be average tides in about 15 or 20 years. So what do you do if you have infrastructure on the coast, as we do? We've been dealing with emergency situations, but the emergent situation that we've been dealing with is going to be long for the next generation. So we have to think about that. You know, the example New York City came up, they did a study as to what it would take for resiliency for Lower Manhattan, and the figure was about $10 million, which they didn't have. It's too much to spend, we're not going to spend too much. So Hurricane Sandy came along and they had $60 billion worth of damage.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
This sea level rise, is this a global issue, or is it pockets of sea level due to tidal action, or what?
Both, because it is global, but it's also dependent on local geography. You know, some places are going to rise higher than others. San Francisco Bay will probably rise higher than we will, because water gets entrapped in there. So every coastal location is going to think about this, and people that have treatment plants on the beach, for example, you're going to have to think how you deal with it. If it's only 3 to 6 inches, that's, you know, think about that. That's still more than a high tide in most cases. It'll give you storms. If you get a storm surge.
That was going to be my next question. You said that the peak high tides that we've had maybe are normal 20 years from now, something like that.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
What is the increase of our peak high tide from what's normal now?
The tidal flow in Port Miami?
Yeah.
We're not, there again, that goes to your previous question, it's not, we don't have the tidal surge they have in some places. Bay of Fundy is 16 feet, you know. But the point is that when you have a king tide, it was high tide, you know, there's 4 levels of tide. And the highest of the high tides will be what is the normal tide now. So,
for Chris.
Yeah.
How many feet is our high tide?
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah,
the 3 feet, something like that?
Well, they're talking about 3 feet total. Well, if you're talking about sea level rise in 3 feet, so they're talking about that within the next century. That's a whole other matter. You know,
okay.
That's a different matter.
Now I understand.
But just even with small incremental sea level rise, the tides themselves are going to be higher. And of course, we're dealing with drought, and there was a discussion of effects of drought on treatment systems. And if you know, we know this with storm drains certainly, but with less flow, you have longer retention times, and you have greater chance for bacteria. And interesting thing on tree root incursion into sewer lines. Trees look for water, and when they're dry, they grow roots. And then we had a picture of a guy that they had TV'd the lines like 6 years previously, and all of a sudden there was like a root 2 inches thick growing through. He said, "Where did that come from? Did we miss it?" Those are the kinds of things that you have to deal with weather change. We also had a good presentation from our good friend Chuck Rogers from the Hill Canyon Treatment Plant. You know, he saw in the paper they're 100% energy initial. He didn't really get into the terms of the power purchase agreement with the Edison company. A lot of us pointed that out and went through that. We went through the PPA at Toland, and it was difficult then, and it's probably not all that good deals put up now, but from a policy perspective, they are off the grid. And finally, I've had some exchange with Mr. Tyson. You know, private lateral inspection is something that I've been talking about for a while, as some of you know, and the council had a bill before in the state that didn't go anywhere. There was a great presentation, as great a presentation as you could have on private sewer laterals. But Truckee was one of the presenters, and they have 17 monitoring stations for a 200-mile system. If they have any kind of brake I&I problem, they can pinpoint it right away. And they've had a lateral inspection program going for 20 years now, and it works really well. And talking with our public works director, trying to get a grasp on what the inflow infiltration was prior to our rebuild and what it is now. And because we're not getting any rain or inflow, it's really hard to measure anything. So, but that's, I still want to keep on that, and I want to consider that if we can bring that to the city. And finally, yesterday, of course, was the 15th anniversary of the 261 tragedy. I was out there, saw our old friend Steve Campbell, and some of the families that have become part of our community, and it struck me after 15 years that there are people both from the families and from our community that just aren't there anymore as we move through. And it's an example of some of those in living memory fade away.
I'm sorry I missed that.
Well, just some of the folks that have living memory are fading away.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Anyone else on the council member reports? Yes, Council Member Hensley.
Thank you, Mayor Snobs. I'm going to kiss this. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, okay? There's some people that want to speak on the public forum still. I don't want to keep them here all night. They've been here a long time. This was a good night for me, one of the best nights in a long time. It was one of the best nights for a lot of people that was here tonight. Thank you so much.
Anyone else have anything? Well, I attended the city selection committee. It's made up of mayors of all the cities in Ventura County, and we take a look at some positions for the group to then consider nominations and those that want to serve. And so happy to report that that Councilmember Hensley is going to be serving on the AWA as a member, an alternate member from cities that are smaller than 100,000. There's not too many here in Ventura County, but he will then be joining Douglas Turner, who's the mayor of Fillmore, who will then be the AWA board member, and Councilmember Hensley will be the alternate. Also, there was a nomination for, I think it was LAFCO, and that was then, Carmen Ramirez was then chosen, and she's the council member from Oxnard. So anyways, just wanted to report on that. All right, so we move on then to open forum. Anyone wishing to speak to the council on any matter not on the agenda may do so at this time. Please approach the podium, give your name and residence, city of residence clearly for the record. So I have two here. I have Jack McGrath, if he's still here. Jack's not here. Okay, and then I have Gordon Bain. Bone. Yes. Thank you. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Madam Mayor, council members, you've had a long night. This sounds familiar because I'm on the board of directors in Wainimi Bay. What I'm just going to mention tonight fairly briefly is something that's taken us about 9 months, if you ask some other people, maybe 15 months to take care of. We've talked about this before, the expansion of broadband, high-speed internet wirelessly in Wainimi Bay. Our board approved, and we entered into a contract with Wi-Fi Harbor, which will start this month. We expect to have the first 4 people online with that as a starting point. We'll have another 20 by the end of March, and then it will open up, presuming everything works well. So what I'm here today to talk about is that I request the council to support an effort to reach out to the Tri-County Broadband Consortium, which was launched last November. This consortium has available some funds to support the achievement and advancement of broadband. And the money that could come forth with this could be helpful to expand what we're going to try to do in Wainimi Bay throughout the city. The idea of this being that I think we can meet all of the requirements that have been stated in the consortium white paper, and we could wind up with a consortium of wayward community and savvy to the technology essential to supporting the 21st century. That's all I'm going to say tonight. It's been a long night. You guys want to go home.
Thank you.
I do have a question. I do have a
Yes,
question, Gordon.
yes.
Is that a private or a public-private partnership? I mean, what's the general structure?
It's supposed to be a private, public partnership.
Okay, thanks.
That's my understanding of that.
Okay, thank you. All right. So closed session, item 10. We do have several items on closed session, Mr. City Attorney. Oh, is there one more? Oh, sorry. Okay. All right, here we go. For open forum, it was down the table here. Tracy Sisson Phillips with Hueneme Chamber. Thank you.
I will be quick, I promise. Tracy Sisson Phillips, Hueneme Chamber of Commerce. So, February 18th, State of the Navy, February 27th, 75th anniversary. The Chamber had the opportunity to participate in the Port Strategic Planning session a week or so ago, and I just want to comment on the city's commitment to being a community partner in how their strategic plans align with the strategic plans of the city and the Chamber for the betterment of the overall community. But the most exciting thing that I'd like to report tonight, as tired as I am, is that on the 24th of January, the Chamber and the city came together to do a creek cleanup day with partnership from volunteers at Naval Base Ventura County. And the 34 volunteers that spent 8 hours in the creek with 2 city staff were able to clear 300 plus yards of weeds. I myself got down in the creek for a short amount of time and cut some weeds, and I had us off to the 2 gentlemen that have been responsible for keeping that creek clean on a daily basis. It did come to my attention at that time that it has actually been 12 to 13 years since the last time that creek had been completely cut back. And
Any shopping carts?
I saw a shopping cart on the side from some place where they had cleaned, but there were definitely some interesting things coming out of the creek as we were clearing the weeds. But my hope is that we are able to get together and partner with the city again to do this before the March 15th deadline comes up to be out of the creek, and that it's something that the community at large can participate in on a recurring basis, because the 34 people that we put in there with the 2 city staff cleared more weeds in 8 hours than the staff say they could have cleared in a month. And for our community, if everybody in our community of 22,000 came out and even put in 4 hours of work a day, we could have a much better park and a better place to live.
Madam Mayor, can you
Yes.
ask staff to work with the chamber on that issue?
Yeah, we can then follow up with your comments. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Are you finished?
I think I'm done. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, one question. February 18th is the
State of the Navy.
And then what was
February 27th is our
Is what?
75th anniversary dinner and community awards night.
Okay.
And winners will be announced hopefully tomorrow by noon.
And that dinner is the 20?
7.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Councilmember Fitt.
I just want to smile. 40 years ago, it was called a ditch, and today we're calling it a creek. I love it.
You're right, it was a ditch when I played in it too, so
Yeah.
It's an
touche.
estuary. It's an estuary, Tom.
Oh, okay.
All right. I know, I thought we needed one. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we now move on to item number 10, closed session. And so we do have a couple of items. Mr. City Attorney?
City manager and I are recommending that these be reset perhaps for one day next week at a special meeting given the lateness of the hour. So I suspect someone will be in touch with you tomorrow to check your schedules.
Okay.
Real quick, like Mayor, may I compliment the attorney and the city manager for being nice people tonight?
They always are.
Thoughtful.
They always are. Okay, so with that, the city council meeting adjourns to the special meeting, which is the city council workshop to be held on Thursday, February 26, 2015 at 8 a.m. at the Holiday Inn Express down the street. And then we move on to the Port Hueneme Housing Authority regular meeting for February 2nd, 2015. And yes, he's here. And then looking at the agenda, can we have the roll call, please?
Member Fig.
Here.
Member Hensley.
Here.
Member Sharkey.
Present.
Member Straley.
Here.
Vice Chair Breeze.
Here.
Chair Schnapp.
Here, we have the consent agenda.
Second?
Oh, agenda, I'm sorry, agenda first.
Motion.
Motion on the agenda, yes. Is there a second?
Here, second.
Who made the motion? I thought you did. Okay, thank you. All right, there was a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, so agenda moves, now consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? None opposed? Did you guys vote?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just making sure here.
Silence and pledge consent.
That's right. Moving on to open forum item number 4. Anyone wishing to speak to the board on any matter not on the agenda may do so at this time. Please approach the podium. Seeing that there's none, we move on to item number 5, closed session. There are no items on closed session. So then we adjourn the Housing Authority to the next regular meeting to be held March 2nd in the City Council chamber immediately following the 6:30 City Council meeting. Meeting's adjourned.